let's start the show.
It's June 19th, 2014. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith, seated directly to my left. Norman Chan.
Hello.
Stay puffed, man. Stay puffed.
It's 30th anniversary.
It's today?
No,
Oh, the
week.
year.
But the year, yes.
Oh, that's why they showed it in the park.
Ghostbusters.
Oh, that would be a good
30
park
years.
movie.
Ghostbusters is older than me by
Well,
several months. It's like a slightly older brother.
I was old. I could see Ghostbusters. Jeremy Williams, welcome back to the show.
Thanks.
It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
You missed E3.
Yes.
Seems like you didn't. You don't feel like you missed that much.
That's all right. Nope.
When did you see Ghostbusters first? Did you see Ghostbusters in the theaters? You're closer to my age.
What? Okay. I think, yes, I must have seen it in the theater because it was my favorite movie as a kid. I remember watching it, for so many times on video that it's hard for me to even remember if I saw it in the theater, but I must have.
It's one of the first things I saw on video at home.
Yeah.
I don't think we didn't have much of a movie theater in town when I was a kid because I grew up in a really small town.
It's a risky movie to make.
How so?
There's a long backstory. Dan Aykroyd originated the story, and he came up with the idea. I think his family actually. Dan Aykroyd's a weird dude.
Yes.
He sells vodka in crystal skulls.
He believes in paranormal
His family actually believes in paranormal
The
activity.
character that he played in Ghostbusters does not fall far from the tree of reality, it seems. He had that cable series for years.
And
where he went out and he investigated mysteries, paranormal mysteries.
What? It was like the sci-fi shows before the sci-fi shows?
It was on the Science...
Don't say Science Channel.
What was sci-fi before? Was it sci-fi but S-C-I-F-I, not
Correct.
S-Y-F-I? Yeah. So I want to say he was on a show on sci-fi for years.
Post Ghostbusters, obviously.
Oh, yeah, in the 90s.
Interesting.
Wow. So he came up with the script and it was pitched around town, and it was right after all the big SNL blow up. So SNL was the first, was huge, all over New York. Norman Michaels made these TV stars like the equivalent of movie celebrities, but they had never really done big movies except for Bill Murray.
Well, even Bill Murray had only done...
Groundhog Day.
Well, no, that was way after Ghostbusters.
Was it?
Yeah, dude. Groundhog Day was in 93.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the one with the groundhog.
Oh, you're thinking... no, that's...
Caddyshack.
You're thinking Caddyshack.
Yeah.
But Chevy Chase was in Caddyshack, too.
So the original script for Ghostbusters was very different than what we got. It was interdimensional ghosts. It wasn't set in New York. There's all sorts of craziness. And then when they teamed up with Harold Ramis, he wasn't part of that crew, but he was a writer, and they bunkered down and rewrote the whole thing. And Bill Murray had kind of very little input. He just kind of rolled in, and they knew how to write him. So that's how we got the movie. Setting it in New York, I think, was a big deal because this is 80s New York. We're talking about
Scary New York,
1984,
yeah.
Scary New York.
It's like it's this and the Warriors.
Yes, little after the Warriors.
A little bit.
But we're talking
after.
about 80s New York, like Ninja Turtles New York, kind of scary New York. Ghostbusters New York, definitely a scary New York. Yeah, it wasn't the kind of place you'd want to be in the subway. Lots of graffiti.
Great special effects.
Fantastic special effects.
I mean, and effects that still hold up. If you watch Ghostbusters now, there's a little bit of stop motion and like green screening stuff that's kind of hinky.
Yeah.
But for the most
motion's
part,
lovely. Gozers stop motion.
It's the problem isn't the stop motion. The problem is the compositing of the stop motion.
Yeah, the layering.
They did. It looks a little rough by today's standards.
Sigourney Weaver floating on her bed. It's still a lovely.
She actually can do that,
levitation effect. I believe
that's
it.
a thing that she does.
She's very tall.
She wanted to do it in Alien 3, but they wouldn't let her, as I understand it.
And they had to found a whole new special effects company to do all the effects for.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm looking for the Dan Aykroyd TV show, and I don't think I'm going to find it. But I am absolutely positive that there used to be a late night TV show with Dan Aykroyd on where he talked about ghosts and aliens and UFOs and stuff like that.
I don't think they should do a sequel, a third one.
Well, no, Harold Ramis is dead.
Yes.
Bill Murray is not going to participate.
I believe that is also the case.
Right.
A next generation of Ghostbusters, they did that in cartoon form.
And I mean, like, I understand why, for example, the third Blues Brothers movie got made. They made that movie because they wanted to get a lot of those old bluesmen on film before it was too late. But I don't think there's any excuse to make a third Ghostbusters movie at this point. If you're going to do it, just reboot it and call it a whole new thing.
Nope, too late.
You and I agree, Jeremy, but I think that we are on different pages. Maybe.
Max Landis, son of John Landis, who directed Blues Brothers, tied full circle, tweeted he was rumored to have been working on a script for Ghostbusters 3, or to be doctoring one, because I think the production is still going to go forward. And he tweeted out his pitch. He denied that he was actually working on the script, but his pitch would be set. Would start the movie off several hundred years ago with a murder, a grisly murder, and it would be the story of Slimer.
I would watch the story of Slimer.
John Belushi.
John Belushi was Slimer, really?
No, John Belushi was passed away before Ghostbusters came out, but he was the tribute to John Belushi.
Ah.
He had the essence
that makes sense.
of Belushi.
Yeah. So kind of a big week this week. This seemed like it might be a quiet week, and then a bunch of stuff happened that was kind of interesting. Yesterday, Amazon announced their phone finally.
What?
Yeah. Guess what it's called?
Well, I don't know if it's a guess.
Yeah.
It's
called
the
Fire.
Amazon Fire.
Yep.
But sometimes they call it the Fire. Sometimes they call it the Fire Phone.
Fire phone.
Sometimes they call it the Fire lowercase phone, as if you couldn't tell that it's a phone by looking at it. It's kind of weird and interesting.
I agree with you.
I don't know if it's something I would ever consider buying, but
I would say no.
But yeah, I think that's the right answer.
I
But
can tell you right now, I have zero interest, based on the announcement yesterday, of purchasing the Amazon Fire
As your phone?
as my personal phone.
even as a thing to get in and cover, we had a conversation about it.
But there are a few phones that if I had in my pocket, you'd probably want to see more than this phone. At least just to check it out.
Yeah, that's true.
3DS-wise.
Right?
It's a great phone for someone else, for a friend to have.
Exactly. Yeah. So who's going to be that friend?
Take the bullet. I guess we have to be that friend.
So the big thing is the camera, is the dynamic. Okay, the big thing is that it has 4 cameras on the front, and it has image recognition engine they call Firefly. That seems like the predecessor showed up in the Amazon app, where you can take a picture of something, and it'll tell you what it is, and then you can buy it.
Complete with Firefly effect. Did you know that?
What's the Firefly effect?
The little fireflies that fly around on the screen and surround the thing that it's scanning.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it's actually in the iOS Amazon app. You can use that today.
So let's talk about those are two separate things. Dynamic perspective is the first thing. This is the multi-camera on the front. We've actually talked about this before the announcement, because it was widely speculated and also leaked on sites like Boy Genius Report. And as Will demos the Firefly effect for his own iPhone, dynamic perspective, what it does, as we've talked about, Jeremy, creates the illusion of a 3D image or a 3D space beneath the screen, without using stereoscopic.
Or
3D.
Or it turns out really even relying on the accelerometer gyro, which is how it's been done on other cell phones.
That's very true. Where if you can calibrate the position of your eyes and say this is how it looks right, and you can, and the gyro turns, then the GPU can calculate and the engine can render the image below the screen and show it off perspective. It's parallax.
Yes, but in that case, like if you use a game, which they've made on other phones that have that parallax effect, it doesn't know where your head is. So the perspective isn't necessarily correct. So that's
you'd have to calibrate. You'd have to say,
I suppose
like,
so.
This is my 0 position. I'm looking at it straight on.
And
and also my head's never.
And then you'd never be able to move.
Right. You move the phone, not the head.
But so that's what's interesting about this tech, is that it actually tracks your head in 3D space.
And it can track multiple heads. What's interesting is...
Hold on. How does it track multiple heads if it only has one screen and one...
Well, it can recognize that there are multiple heads, but it will only show the perspective for the correct perspective for one head.
Right.
Guys, this Firefly stuff doesn't even recognize a Kindle Fire HD.
The screen might have to be on for that.
I
or
think
the back.
Doesn't that app only do actual like magazine covers and
Product-
game covers?
It could tell that this was a 13-inch MacBook Pro.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think it got the year right.
It did recognize my PlayStation, but I feel like that's probably rare. It'll do barcodes and product covers.
Okay, well, Firefly is the bigger thing. Dynamic perspective is the cool show your friends.
Yeah.
Pay the $650 off contract or $200 to $300 on contract for the phone feature.
I feel like it has game potential, don't you?
I absolutely believe
Yeah.
there is some interesting game potential, but how it's integrated in UI is weird, like unnecessary.
Gimmicky.
It is a flourish that is when so much of UI design is moving toward flat layers, putting more 3D space and rendered 3D layers in images is unnecessary use of GPU.
Norm, you use the Kindle Fire,
Yes.
the tablet. They're bad at UI. It is really well established. That carousel thing eventually got to the point that it was okay, but at this point they have this feature with these cameras, which are there, I think, for another reason. But we'll talk about that in a minute. And they were looking for excuses to use the cameras. So having the thing where you tilt the phone to the side and it shows a different part of the UI because it knows that you're looking at the right side and you want to see more context information or an expanded view or whatever is just another thing that came for free once you already have the 4 cameras that track your face and eyes. I think that Amazon wanted to sell a phone that tracks people's eyes when they're looking at, for example, a shopping page on Amazon.
Sure.
And,
absolutely.
and then had to figure out a reason people would want to have a thing that tracks your eyes,
Yes.
so that they can collect eye tracking data on store stuff.
And it's less so eye tracking as in like what part of the screen you're looking at. It's whether you're actually looking at things that are on the screen.
I think it is to generate a heat map of places that people look on, let's say, an Amazon shopping page or an Amazon app page.
I don't know if they can do that.
Yes, they can do that.
You're speculating that this phone can do that, though.
I'm speculating that the phone can do eye tracking.
Because they didn't mention eye tracking.
No shit.
And they only showed like little red dots on
Yeah.
top of eyes.
Yes.
I don't think that they can do eye tracking as in like you can tell you on this 4.7-inch screen whether they're looking at the top or the bottom. What it can do is extrapolate based on where your head moves if you're tilting your phone up and down. If you're showing a 3D map, that the movement of your content on the page, that informs Amazon where on the page you're looking at, as opposed to your eye scanning.
One of the things that they listed on as a secondary feature is auto scroll in the Kindle and reading apps.
Yeah.
So, there's a bunch of ways to do that that are super janky and bad. The right way to do that is to do eye tracking, so it knows what line your
That's
eyeball is
interesting.
on
Yeah.
and keeps it moving.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I have to imagine when you look at eye tracking rigs, they are very similar to this. They're a bunch of several small cameras at different perspectives, and that's just what they do. Like we saw that one at CES 2 or 3 years ago, and it's pretty much the same thing. It's just a thing that sits on top of the monitor on either edge at the top, even just 2 cameras, and it can tell where your eyeball's looking at, or at least give you a general heat map.
Why wouldn't they employ that technology if they could do it?
Right. I mean, if they're going to sell a phone to people, what does Amazon get from it? Right.
Well, yeah, I'm suggesting maybe they can't do it yet.
I don't think they can do it yet. I think that there are things that they're going to create the content, just like the Kindle scrolling thing and like browsing web pages. I think that they're combining head tracking with interesting ways to maneuver the phone around the content. That data will tell Amazon where you're looking at, as opposed to where eye is actually looking right now.
So,
because there's a lot of trajectory stuff that has to be calculated
With eyes?
with eyes, and we're talking about a 4.7-inch screen and the screen being distance.
It's a very narrow cone
Yes.
of
Exactly.
change.
So
Yeah.
just so you know, like the eye tracking stuff that they sell for phones is a bar that clips onto the bottom of your phone and has 2 very similar cameras instead of 4. Like I think that I have very little doubt that they're gonna. I don't think they have a privacy policy posted for this yet. I guarantee you that the first thing you do as part of the setup process is calibrate it. Look in the top right corner. Look in the lower left corner. Look in the top left corner. Look in the lower right corner.
I don't think so, man.
This is why we'll buy the phone
Right.
and at the end of July have it check out. I'm skeptical that if eye tracking was there as a feature, I think they would have for this announcement created apps like Kindle Reading to promote that as a feature.
Yeah.
because that makes much more sense than the tilting the Kindle.
It certainly does
to scroll.
Hey guys, we have the eye tracking cameras. What can we do real quick that's going to make people think, this is really neat? The larger issue, aside from all the speculation, is that it's a phone that essentially exists to buy stuff from Amazon.
So that's Firefly.
Right. I don't like. I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon.
Hell yeah.
I am the 21st century Sears customer. They send me mugs at the end of the year. I buy so much shit from Amazon.
I live in a condo. I petitioned the rest of the residents to give UPS the access code to our building, so that I could get my packages, because I get multiple packages like a week.
Yeah.
You don't have an office. If you're working in an
No,
office,
that's
the
the
best
problem.
part of working in an office.
You're absolutely right.
You know, companies should crack down on that policy. It's the office mailroom is not your personal mailroom.
Amazon should be subsidizing the office mailroom.
Yeah.
The best part, that's the nice thing about living in the suburbs, is they just chuck it on the front step, and
no
it's
one
still there when I
steals it.
come home the next day.
Or if you do Google Shopping Express, you can check the box that you can say leave it in a secure place. And you don't need
throw it
to
over the
authorize
fence.
signature. We'll talk about Firefly. I do want to speculate on the game potential of dynamic perspective and explain to people how the interface actually uses it in the presentation. What they showed in the presentation.
It doesn't.
I thought the video showed it pretty well.
I don't think the video does show it well. Because it's not calibrated for the camera. It's not the perspective of the camera. It's the perspective of
That's
whatever
true.
person the camera can perceive.
So you see the wow, the
the phone can
wow,
perceive.
look at this thing in my pants.
Which looks just like any other gyro-based perspective manipulation that we've seen before. Whereas what's unique about this is that it's actually personalized to the person holding the phone.
The interesting thing about the addition of the cameras to do this kind of parallax stuff, that, like you said, we've previously done with gyros, is the same thing happened with VR. They started out with an accelerometer and gyroscope solution, realized that technology is not robust enough to get the effects that they wanted, and ended up going back to optical tracking because the tools to do that are much more robust.
So a good way to, aside from Amazon's video, which doesn't do the best job of simulating it for the viewer watching the video, is to go to the TED Talk, Johnny Chung Lee's TED Talk from 2008, where he demonstrated the same parallax effect using his Wii hack. And for that TED Talk, they actually had the cameraman put the Wiimote or the sensor on top of his camera, and then bounce around in front of the monitor to give you the TED
it
viewer.
looked holographic.
And it looked exactly. And the simulation is more accentuated when you're watching it on a flat YouTube video, because you're watching just a 2D screen.
You can't tell it's not 3D.
Right. But that is, if you think about it, that is the experience that you would see on the phone, which is also a 2D screen.
Well, yes, but you would see it in 3D, and then you'd be seeing this 2D image. So it'd be like, it's a weird 3D effect.
Yeah. So how could games use this, and how can UI use this?
Well, if they know where your eyes are looking, then they can enhance the resolution of the area that you're looking at.
I hope they can do it, man. I really do. I mean, that would be amazing, especially if they open it up to developers. That's hugely powerful.
Oh, yeah. And it's a thing that's hard to do traditionally. I think, I don't know, like virtual cockpit stuff becomes possible. You can look down when you're flying your janky phone flight sim to see the control panel.
Those games where they're kind of isometric and you have to overlay shadows onto objects in the correct way, that takes on a new interesting kind of mechanic where you're not flipping it with your finger, moving your head.
If your head is the sun.
Or a light source, right?
Your head is the light source, and you're casting shadows on your game pieces as you move your head around.
Yeah.
You would imagine that
your head is an analog control now.
Because the amount you can control your head, and it is translation movement we're talking about, not just rotation.
But
movement,
it's three-dimensional translation,
which is cool.
I would assume
as you move the phone closer to your face, you see more of the field.
Yeah, right.
That's something I haven't been able. I can't wrap my head around how that's going to look. But if it could recognize more than your face, and for example, if it's smart enough, and you would think that if it could recognize your face, it could recognize other things.
Mm-hmm.
If you can calibrate it to recognize objects and then be able to move objects around, that'd be cool for games.
Do you remember the game that used the barcodes to generate enemies? It's like an RPG. You walk around your house and you shoot barcodes with your phone camera, and it uses the it like hashes that number to make like spawn enemies, basically.
Any barcode.
Yeah.
That rings a bell, but I don't remember it.
I think they could do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, walk around, scan your barcodes in your house. This game is brought to you by Jeff Bezos.
Yep, they would love that.
Barcode Wars is what it's called.
Nice.
Barcode Wars.
Okay,
I mean, I think we'll see a lot of UI stuff. Like, I think if you have like top-down kind of games, whether it's RPGs or strategy games or whatever, then if you can kind of tilt your tray to the side to pop out the spawn menu when you want to spawn new stuff, or pop out the other way to go back to your base or whatever if you're playing a strategy game. I could see that opening up some more opportunities.
I didn't see anything about the motion stuff in the demos that I thought was really necessary or all that useful. I mean, like, Jeff Bezos demoed the Maps app, and he was very excited about the fact that you could tilt the phone to look underneath some of the UI layers to read street names.
Fingers.
And I mean, I'll just scroll it and check around, pinch and zoom a little bit.
I mean, I like the idea of one hand gestures. Like, if you're walking around, you have your phone out, your other hand is carrying a grocery bag or something like that, and the ability to kind of flip it open and get to whatever it is that I want to get to. Like, I think that's really good.
You don't think that reeks of false positives?
I'm sure it'll be really annoying in practice. I'm not optimistic about how it's going to work in the real world. But the idea is sound. Like, the fundamental, I have two hands. One hand is occupied with a small child, a bag of groceries, you know, whatever it is that I'm carrying and I can't put down. And the other hand, I need to answer the phone or find out where I'm going or find out where I'm supposed to be. Like, that is a use case that I encounter on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Like, it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Amazon's track record on version 1 products, not so great.
Not so great.
Yeah.
What about the scrolling? Do you think you'd use that inertial, whatever you call it?
So every other time I've tried to use the automatic scrolling on a device, and admittedly, it's stuff that usually you kind of you read a few pages and it picks up your reading rate, and then it just goes automatically. It's been awful.
False positives.
It's the problem is that when even if you're reading a book and you're really into the book, you hear a noise, you look up, and then you lose your place because the page starts to keep scrolling. If they have the fine detail that they can track, they notice, hey, I looked up, I should stop. You come back, you're at the exact same place, then that's really interesting. If it's just like, well, you read at 3 pages a minute, which Amazon knows. Amazon knows how fast I read because the Kindle tells them.
True that.
So, you know, they have to. Like, if they're just extrapolating from that, it's not going to be very good.
Have you guys been to the Exploratorium? And they have an exhibit that's eye tracking. It's a really interesting exhibit. It's not very new, but it's a giant wall, a really big projected screen in front of you. And so you're standing maybe 15 feet away from it, and they show images, and then you look around naturally as they tell you to. And at the end of the demo, they go back to the images and show you heat maps of where most people looked and also where you looked, and then you can also see your eye tracking in real time. But the point is that the eye tracking that they show in real time is that your eyes never stay in one place for very long.
Constantly moving.
You're constantly jumping around all the time, and it's going to take a lot of data extrapolation and algorithms to turn that kind of like scanning movement into a linear, something useful that they can use. If it's just the heat map, that's useful for Amazon's perspective. But if it's something that needs to be in real time fed back to you, like in terms of scrolling or page turning, then that's going to have to be very accurate. It's not an easy thing to do.
It's not. So let's talk about Firefly a little bit. It's interesting because it's technology that has existed in the purchasing apps for a little while. It seems like the thing that they're doing with this is maybe a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, it seems like there's some things I've never seen before.
Right. So Firefly, it's visual recognition for products. And if you think about it,
and audio.
Yeah. And also maybe other stuff.
So the kind of like the super barcode scanner. What originally was when smartphones first got a barcode scanner app, it was amazing. You could call up IDs on products, and it would tap into the barcode databases for stores. But objects are tougher because not lighting and perspective. And so how does that work? Is it a 3D model that they're extrapolating?
No, I think they just have boatloads of pictures of products because they've been collecting pictures from customers for 10 years. Right.
Yeah. They claim 70 million items they can recognize. I think 1 million items.
I thought it was more than that even.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So there must be some. It's not like they're photographing every product from every perspective, even though they own the patent for images in front of a background.
Well, if you think about it, though, there are most consumer products have a couple of obvious cues that let them kind of like think about it as a process that you can narrow down. So you see some text, you OCR the text, it says MacBook Air, that narrows it down to 2 or 3 products over the last 8 or 10 years, and then they can compare it to a small subset of photos in there, which is what it was able to do. Like it did an open MacBook Air, was able to tell what it was.
Let's say what it can do. Firefly,
yeah,
right. So
that's a good idea.
It can scan the cover of products, like a magazine cover, a game cover, book cover, and instantly it pops up the item.
Mm-hmm.
It can look at products itself.
Sometimes,
like a PlayStation or a laptop.
Mm-hmm.
You can read URLs printed on paper.
Mm-hmm.
It can read phone numbers printed on paper.
QR codes, barcodes.
Yep.
What in terms of audio can it recognize?
You can recognize songs. If it knows it's not looking at something, it then starts to listen. And if it recognizes a song like Shazam, it will give you the song title. But the most magical thing, if I can use that word.
No, it's trademarked.
Okay, the most interesting thing to me was when they scanned the audio from Game of Thrones. And it popped up not only the episode within seconds, but the actual scene, how many minutes and seconds you were into the episode.
So that's happened. That's been around for a while. There's an app called On Now, and if you think about it, there's massive databases on the internet of audio signals for everything that's copyrighted, because that's what YouTube checks against to do content ID matches. So even if you're not going to put your stuff on YouTube, HBO is uploading all the episodes of Game of Thrones to those databases,
so they can be matched.
I'm sure there are other databases that include that collect the same things.
I mean, that was incredible. I mean, obviously it doesn't work wouldn't work on live TV, but
right.
I mean, the fact that it could do it so instantaneously. Do you have any idea how that works?
I'm sure it's
like Shazam. I mean,
yeah. How does that work? I mean, how does it get the fingerprint of a song so quickly?
I think that it's just like how fast Google can turn search results.
It's just,
so the databases are extremely fast, and like even though to the human ear, songs like certain notes, string of notes, within a 3-second component of a song, can sound the same, or someone saying the same words can sound similar. Every additional half-second, millisecond you add to that string that you can parse adds so much more data that narrows it infinitely down to very few things.
And it's not one of the things that I think Shazam does, and this is speculation, is that when Google starts guessing what you're typing for the moment you type the first character, right? I mean, and honestly, they start before that because they know about the type of things you usually search. So that narrows down the infinity of information to shit Will is potentially interested in. Shazam, I'm sure, starts the moment you press the button, uploading bits of data. It doesn't capture a sample and then upload it. So it's the total time from the time you first hit the button to start sampling to the time it comes back with a response.
And also, it's not voice recognition in that it has to recreate the sound for you and parse through a language database. It's very specific items that it's targeting, so it doesn't need to be 100% sure that's the same the exact words of this song or the scene. It just needs to match whatever's in its database and give you the best result.
So if you think about it, like if you sing "Hey Jude," Shazam doesn't have any idea what you're doing. It detects a live version of "Hey Jude" and the recorded studio version of "Hey Jude" as completely different songs, because to it they're just it's just
different sounds,
just different. Yeah, it's not even that; it's just different numbers in the string.
Right.
Because I'm sure what they do is generate hashes. Like they generate a shorter version that they can then do numerical analysis against. I don't know. It's really interesting.
I find it incredibly.
It's the magic. It's because our brains can't comprehend the size of these databases and the speed in which
it's not just that. It's the fact that they can convert a little bit of sound into some sort of unique fingerprint, a hashtag, and then send it off and have that match so fast. It's not the size; it's the speed.
It's interesting though, because it's something that like a person can do. Like that is not
that's true.
It is very possible that there's someone out there that is familiar enough with the wide variety of music that they can listen to 5 seconds of a song and tell you what it is. I know there's somebody who can do that.
That's a good point.
So it's interesting because we have we're brute forcing it on the computer side. On the human side, it's just somebody who's spent the last 40 years listening to music. all the time. They're just locked in a little room. Human computers.
So did I miss
Mentats.
anything that Firefly can do?
So Firefly also, because it can recognize text, it wants to be the way that you kind of transfer everything in the physical world into the digital world. So when we're talking about business cards, information, it will recognize that this is, a name and phone number, and it'll associate with databases. And the point is that it wants you to stop having to type in physical text onto your phone.
It can scan the real world. Like you can walk. I guess you can scan a sign on a store and grab whatever phone number's on there.
Yeah. Yep. The point is that it's to turn your shopping experience into Amazon only. It's showrooming every brick and mortar store you go into. You go into Ace Hardware and you can find what the Amazon price is for a bucket of nails.
But like we said, you've been able to do this for a while now.
It's just a little slower.
I think what's important here is that Amazon made it a button on the phone. So one button.
And that's a huge deal. That makes it actually something that you can use. You pull your phone in your pocket, you hit the button, you're right there. You don't have to unlock, you don't have to search through the app, any of that stuff. It's the same reason that Google Now on Android is so much better than Google Now on iOS, because it's omnipresent and it's easily accessible.
Yeah.
They also launched an initiative a month ago, and it was a limited thing. It was a very similar feature for grocery shopping at home. I forget exactly what the name of the product was. It was invite only.
The Wand, yeah. It's not called the Wand, but I know what you mean. It was free for invite only.
Free for invite only, and the idea is that you could scan your items in your refrigerator, your home, and then order from Amazon for the same day grocery shopping. And this does that also, but in a phone form. So as opposed to the bookstore where the books are going to have barcodes or covers, you could be at someone's house or your own home and say, I need a resupply of toilet paper, scan the toilet paper bag, and it'll be there next day or in 2 days.
So there are apps that do this.
Yeah, why isn't this an app?
Like Jelly has done this for a long time. Jelly does image searches, and it will do things that don't have barcodes and aren't static art. Like you can show it a picture of a piece of kale.
Art was another thing it does.
Yeah, well, art. Yeah, art. There's databases of art. That's easy.
Yeah.
It can say, okay, this is leafy, this is green. It could be lettuce, it could be kale, it could be spinach. Hold on, are the edges variegated? Yeah, it's probably kale or collards. Do people eat collards? Probably not. It's most likely kale, right? So this is not it is new to most people who see it, I think.
Well,
the Today Show segment this morning on this was great because those guys were like, this is amazing.
Oh, they've never seen any of this stuff.
And
there's Shazam. I mean, there's apps that do a lot of these things.
Right.
You could probably do almost everything with an assortment of apps.
Siri's going to have Shazam built in the next version.
Right.
Google Now does something similar, I think. I don't think it's Shazam related, but it'll find music on Android.
But it's not all consolidated into one app that is a button on your phone.
That's the difference.
So why? But why isn't it in Amazon's interest just to make this an app available for everyone?
And similarly, why is this phone so expensive? If Amazon is trying to sell it to increase their sales of products
to make me buy shit.
Yeah.
I think at some point, I think it's a shareholder thing. I think at some point they have to sell something that makes money. The thing I don't understand is why, if they want to make something that's easy for you to do showrooming with, why not make the Dash available to people who aren't Amazon Fresh customers?
What's the Dash?
The Dash is the barcode reader with the voice thing.
Yeah.
And that thing is, I would keep one of those in my bag just so I could hit the button and see, oh yeah, if you put a little screen on it that had an LCD screen, not even a real screen, a touch screen or anything, just something that shows me what the Amazon price is of any barcode I scan, I would carry that fucker around with me everywhere I went.
Dash works in your home because it's Wi-Fi connected.
But there's no reason you couldn't put some RAM in it and it just uploads everything to the internet when you get home.
RAM is the answer.
That's like the
memory.
That's the old listen on the radio, and then you press the button when the radio song's coming on, and then you go home and you plug it in.
That was a product.
That was a real product. Remember?
Thing.
What was that called? Yeah.
You're like, I'm driving the car.
It was like the Tune
Jam
oh my God,
or
something.
I love this song, and it was before the radio stations piped the name of the song on digital displays, and you would save the timestamp, and you go home and then you plug in your computer.
It was a Sony thing, wasn't it?
And then it lists.
That's right.
At this time, you're listening to this radio station. It was this song playing. Yeah. I now know what the song is.
But for purchasing stuff, I'm okay with that. if it adds it to a shopping list and I come and I get back to my house, I get a push notification on my phone that says, hey, you have things in your cart from Amazon. Do you want to buy them or not buy them?
Yes, always buy.
I would, just buy all.
Why
right
not
there.
buy?
You could do it right.
Buy 2 of it.
iOS 8, you could do it right from the notification. Just to buy all.
That's right.
I think that's I can't imagine replacing something that is a general purpose, ultra usable device that I use for everything with a thing that is pretty good at all the other stuff and really awesome at shopping from Amazon, which is already the easiest place to buy shit from that I know of.
No, especially at the same price point.
Yeah. It's $600. What is it? $699 or $599?
$650.
$650. That's insane for an off-contract
small
price.
one.
32
For 32
gigabytes.
gig, you double that for another $100.
Great. And it's $200 on contract. I just can't imagine tying myself
that's true.
to this for a 2-year contract
And only on AT&T.
and only on AT&T. Yeah. So I mean,
720p
Some
screen.
people will. There are Amazon fanboys out there, and they will buy this phone.
dude, I am an Amazon fan.
And there's something that this phone has going for it that no other phone has, and that's that it's going to be on the front page of the internet's biggest marketplace for
That's
months.
true. And they're going to collect eye tracking data from you.
Now,
Patent pending.
you and Dan Aykroyd should get together and have a little conspiracy TV show.
It's not a bad idea.
I think if eye tracking was there would be a pop-up, not only when you calibrate, to say just like the privacy policy stuff would be very clear. It would be let Amazon track what I...
The privacy policy for the phone is not posted yet. It is not.
So-
as far as at least when I looked,
Yeah.
it was not up yesterday.
The SDK's out, though.
The SDK is out.
And that's something important to mention, that Firefly is also an SDK that third-party developers developing for Amazon, the Amazon store, can plug that scanning into.
That's right.
I kind of don't understand this as a product.
At
It's
least not at this
LTE.
price.
It's like a competent phone. It's a 720p screen is the only kind of hinky thing about it, which makes sense because it seems like they're probably using the processing power to do all the dynamic perspective stuff. It's a Snapdragon quad-core CPU. Like it seems pretty competent. 4.7-inch screen. So
Do we expect to see the rest of the Firefly features ported over to other phones?
I'm sure they'll show up in the app. Why would they develop that technology if they're not going to put it in?
And
Like, there's no.
instead of for people to buy their phone.
Well, here's the thing. There's no reason for them to put like art detection in the in the Amazon app
That's right, because they can't sell it.
because they can't sell it. So my hunch is that Firefly will only pick up shit that you can sell.
Yeah.
That they sell.
Well, that's what
on-
in the SDK, they want third-party. And, well, if you look at the Fire website right now, it's 3 exclusive features to the Firefly phone. For the Fire phone. Firefly dynamic perspective and Mayday. Don't forget about Mayday.
Hey, we love Mayday.
Amy.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Amy?
Hey, Amy, what's up?
Mayday looks
Oh,
cool.
Amy.
Hey, I was
Don't
just
fall
thinking.
in love with Amy.
Should I get a sandwich or should I get a slice of pizza for lunch?
I can't see you, so I can't make a recommendation on that.
I think I want a salad, but I'd really like some French fries.
You are now flagged.
I'm looking at cars, and I can't decide between a Nissan Leaf and a Tesla Model X, which is shipping in 2015.
Wow.
We should just.
Increasingly inappropriate.
I just want to. Yeah. Do these pants make my ass look big?
I'm sorry, I can't see you. Flag.
Poor Mayday reps.
I can't imagine what a horrible job those poor people.
Response time is with
15 seconds or 5 seconds? I can't remember.
I thought it was 15.
Yeah, 15. It's really like you're never mentally prepared for when they pop up on screen. So that's the Fire phone. It comes with a free year of Prime for a limited time. So that's $100 off basically. If you are, I mean, it means your next year of Prime is free, or comes with the price of the phone. That's good, I guess. And like we said, the other thing I thought was interesting is they hit the number of apps in the Amazon App Store, and they're up to 250,000 almost, which seems pretty good.
What does Google Play have on?
Oh, I'm sure they're both like 10 million.
Okay.
Google Play and iOS are huge, but I bet my hunch would be that puts them on par with the Windows Phone store, if not surpassing.
Well, all right.
So
Low bar. So it is
Jeremy Williams, everyone.
why does Amazon lock out the Google Play Store? Have they just completely contorted Android?
I don't think it's that Amazon locks out the Google Play Store. I think it's that Google won't license the Play Store to them
is that what it is?
because they're it's not Android. It's Fire OS. It uses the Android kernel.
I see.
It's unclear to me. My hunch is that Google is not allowing it.
Got it.
Yeah, because they have said in the past that if you do too much weird shit to their operating system, they're not going to let you get the benefit of their ecosystem on it.
Okay.
So, Adobe had some stuff this week.
Oh yeah, you tested.
We tested
both software and hardware. We'll talk about the hardware in just a little bit. Software-wise, 2014 Creative Cloud updates.
Everything's new, or most things are new.
Everything has every major app in the Creative Cloud suite of programs for desktop has now a few new features, even though they're supposed to be rolling out features nonstop. This is the whole point of a subscription-based subscription service, in addition to stopping piracy.
I think that you just nailed it. That was the point of the subscription service.
Piracy.
Yeah, the hey, we're going to roll out features constantly throughout the year was the excuse that they used to roll out the anti-piracy.
Sure, it's same with Microsoft Office. Them moving towards a subscription model. I mean, Adobe software and Microsoft Office are probably the two most pirated pieces of software on Windows.
Well, and it's also
aside from Windows.
it's also an opportunity. Like if you were on an every other or every third revision upgrade cycle for Creative Cloud if you're the kind of person that needs that to do your job, but you need it once or twice a week, not every day, then upgrading every couple of years is a perfectly viable alternative to spending $600 or $800 every year.
Jump from CS4 to CS6 and get
no
plenty
problem.
of updates and great. And people who are on CS4, CS5 right now, it still works great. And their license is fine. You might not get support for it in a few years, but it still works. The interesting thing and we'll get to the feature updates in just a moment, but the interesting thing about these subscription models is that what it forces users to do is really evaluate whether if people who pay, whether they really need these products. Increasingly, for example, on the Office side, people are using OpenOffice or Google Docs,
or just the free Office Web Online thing,
or that. And I think fewer people are buying Office. Consumers are buying Office.
Well, if you think about, we always get a lot of flack for this. It's really clear that the corporate world loves Office.
It's the best, and Excel is unparalleled.
Right.
You cannot get Excel functionality online.
Right. However, the thing that we're talking about is the normal consumer, the person who needs a place for their kid to write papers and all of that kind of light word processing, light spreadsheet stuff. All of that is going to free services or free software.
Same with image editing. Light image editing, people are using Paint.net, have been using Paint.net for the longest time now. Plenty of alternatives. I mean, that's why Adobe had released the Photoshop.
The Lightroom Photoshop, the photographer's bundle.
No, the even lighter version.
Oh, the LE. Elements.
Elements, which is one of the best branding names ever. In calling a toned down, cheaper version of a product, Photoshop Elements. I think that is
here are the elements you need.
Brilliant branding, and that was a multi-million-dollar effort to come up with that name.
Really?
FYI, a company.
They hired people.
Was paid to come up with that name.
Wow.
Naming companies.
We're in the wrong line of work, man.
Well, if you come up with a name like Photoshop Elements.
I mean, if you start at the A in the dictionary, you'll get to the E's before too long.
And show why that name will sell you, X million more copies than Photoshop Limited.
But they're moving away from that,
Gimped,
right?
Then
they're moving away from the Elements line in favor of subscriptions to just those apps, or like the photography bundle, which I think is actually quite a good deal at $10 a month. For Lightroom and Photoshop.
Creative Cloud is $50 a month, which is a lot to pay if you're just one dude at home who just needs.
Well, if you're making money with it, if that's the way you make money, that is not a lot of money to pay for tools. Yes. If it is a thing that you do as a hobby or for fun, it is a shitload of money.
Yes. So the photographer's bundle is $10 a month, and you get Photoshop and Lightroom. The updates to Photoshop, they have better masking tools, masking based on blur, all the same tools from before, your camera share reduction is there. They have some radial blurring, some minor features here and there. Nothing really groundbreaking unless you are someone who designs a lot of poster art or commercial art. and you're manipulating a lot of photos for print ads or something like that.
Again, it's stuff that if you live and breathe, you'll be really excited about.
On the mobile app side, they released 4 new mobile apps. Ink and Slide, which are tied to the hardware. Or, I'm sorry.
Hold on, can I talk about Premiere before we go to the... Sure. So Premiere, they did something really neat, I thought. They pulled a lot of the stuff that previously lived exclusively in After Effects into Premiere in a way that it makes sense for like a core editor. So for example, if you had like neat animated lower thirds, the things that slide across the bottom of the page and say Jeremy William Game Frame Inc. whatever at the bottom of the page, if those are animated, you had to go in and type the text in After Effects and then export it back into Premiere, which wasn't a huge deal unless you're working with people who aren't really familiar with After Effects, and then it just becomes another like an annoyance. You have to open up this other application, do your stuff there, and bring it back in. So now you can do things like make templatized lower thirds and animations, so you can insert elements using the right fonts and all that stuff from inside Premiere without having to shell back out to After Effects or whatever. It seemed like there was a bunch of stuff in that vein. That was the one that jumped out to me because that's the thing that it sucks for me. I don't know how to use After Effects. I'm dangerous at Premiere. So like tons of little things like that.
Premiere's a big deal for Adobe now. Ever since Apple broke Final Cut, all the pros have moved over back to Premiere.
Yeah, well, that and the fact that they didn't update Mac Pros for 2 years. Final Cut 7, which is the one the professionals use, is essentially a 32-bit app from like 2007 or 9 or something. Now was the last update, maybe 10. Yeah. So yeah, it seems to be the de facto desktop standard. Like if you're not into Avid or something like that, something really expensive, Premiere seems to be the way that you work, and you can do everything 4K and up. And the nice thing about Premiere is it works on PC as well as Mac, so you don't have to buy a $4,000 workstation. You can just build essentially a gaming PC and put a couple of GTX 780s in it and have a hellacious rendering machine, some SSDs and big video cards.
As Apple moves toward the prosumer, more users model. I mean, things like Aperture, fewer people are using Aperture, more people are using Lightroom. Lightroom is a big program for Adobe.
I think I have to switch from Aperture to Lightroom.
I haven't used either one. Why would I use those over Photoshop?
I will spend we'll talk about that.
Let's do it as a letter. Jeremy, you can send a letter in.
We'll do that at the end of this segment on the new apps.
What's the email address?
You can do it verbally.
So
the email address is podcast@tested.com.
Mobile side, there's Sketch and Line, which are new drawing apps affiliated with new hardware, which we'll talk about. And Photoshop Mix for iPad, which is free, so you should download that, Jeremy. It is if you want to do image editing on your iPad and you have Photoshop on desktop, you can do things like masking, and you can actually...
masking with my finger?
It's
smart masking, Jeremy.
It's like, you draw your outline with your finger, and then it'll do some smart masking, but then it'll also let you sync back up to Photoshop and have that rendered as PSD and layers, so you can do the fine-tuning on your computer.
That's pretty cool.
So if you wanted to just cut something out with your finger on a photo while you're on an airplane, and then send it all back and then do your fine-tuning later with a keyboard and mouse.
Does that go through their cloud service, or does that
goes through the cloud service? You have to be a subscriber to do that.
Oh, so it's not going to work with my old, possibly illegitimate Photoshop.
You need CC for that. You
pay
$10 a month. The other cool thing about Photoshop Mix is that a lot of features that are in Photoshop, 3 features specifically, shake reduction, upright, which is a Lightroom feature, and
what's upright?
Upright it analyzes the photo, and if you, for example, take a photo of a phone and it is not perfectly straight on, the phone will be more of a trapezoid. If you actually cut it out, it will analyze and it will actually make it a rectangle.
Wow.
So it'll straighten.
Kind of perspective correct?
Very light perspective correct.
There's scan apps that have been doing that for a while. Yeah.
Yes. But this is for photography in high resolution.
That's cool.
So upright, camera shake reduction, which has worked to varying degrees of success, and also content aware fill, which is the real magic feature in Photoshop. Select an item and say remove it and analyze the rest of the photo to fill in the background. Those are free on Photoshop Mix.
Cool.
And what they do is they actually send the image back to the cloud, process it on Adobe servers, and then send you the image back and give you 3 options to pick from. So
that's really cool.
That's free. Lightroom for iPhone, which I think is a big deal, because here's the answer to your question. Jeremy, why don't you ask the question?
Hold on, save it for the emails.
But it's relevant now.
Okay.
I've never used anything but Photoshop to manipulate my photos. Why would I need another app?
So I imagine the way you're manipulating your photos right now is primarily to maybe resize or crop to cut things when
Exposure.
Yeah,
probably?
adjust the levels.
and you can adjust in the adjustments tool in Photoshop. You have curves and some lighting levels, right? Lightroom is and Aperture. One, they're photo organizers, so you ingest. They are the primary means by which you ingest your photos from your digital camera and smartphone, and it organizes them into categories and collections.
It also helps with archiving and stuff like that, so that you can keep track of a much larger collection of photos than maybe you want to keep on your computer at any given time.
So this is also the app I use to go and look for a photo?
Yes.
It's kind of like iTunes for photos.
Interesting.
But not
So-
bad.
And like iTunes for photos, like iTunes, period, you can copy the photo, create copies of these photos, or you can leave them in the original place. I copy it all into one giant directory on a separate hard drive that's backed up.
You can but you can make like albums if you want to organize them in different ways. You can set up, at least in Aperture, you can set them up either as pointers to the file, so that you then have 15 images that, if you have like if you're making a collage, say for your mother to give for Mother's Day of your kids, then you can put the photos in there. You can put them in a different album, and you still work off of the same source, so that if you fix that picture somehow, then it'll propagate out to the others, to all the places it's used.
Got it.
So
Upload to services like Flickr, and can you do Instagram from Lightroom?
oh, you can't do Instagram. You can do Flickr.
Yeah.
So you can sort, you can flag, you can if you're the kind of person who takes at one event 500 photos, and because you're just rapid shuttering and you're not filtering on the fly, you can then rate and flag them, and then just show your flagged items. So it's while not deleting everything. So it's an organization tool.
It reminds me, in that respect, a bit of Picasa, which I used a while ago.
It's a lot like Picasa,
So that's the primary
but
organizing
more
function.
functional.
In terms of development photos, you have to be in the mindset of you are then like a old film photographer takes the film reel and develops it in a certain way to give a certain result. You are doing that to your photos digitally. And so the tools you have to manipulate your photos, it's not the crop and cut, of Photoshop, but it is everything from exposure, contrast, sharpness, clarity, shadows, brightness, highlights, and individual color tones. So you can then identify colors and shift the colors, not just the white balance, but individual color spectrum levels. So the luminance of all your purples in this photo, you can tone that down or brighten those up. You can add vignetting. You can add grain if you want.
Is that stuff useful if you're not shooting RAW?
It is absolutely useful for high resolution JPEGs.
Okay.
And
the other thing is that it does help you manage RAW JPEGs. At least Lightroom does, as I understand it. Aperture's kind of bad at that.
So if you're shooting RAW, which I recommend if you're shooting on your DSLR, it will take your RAW image and let you process it. Like in Photoshop, when you ingest a RAW image, you have that pop-up.
Yep.
And it's the same toolbar as that pop-up, except as opposed to in Photoshop, once you commit, that's it.
Yep.
You get to change that at any point.
That's cool.
And you can apply those settings that you set for one image to all the shots that you took at that point.
In that sequence.
Like if you have 20 shots of a kid at a soccer game, they're going to develop the same way. It's kind of like a power tool for photo management, basically, with the barest of Photoshop stuff embedded in there.
Most people, when they take photos, they really set it and forget it. They click the shutter button, even if it's a DSLR or your iPhone, and that is your photo. You will add maybe an Instagram filter or hit the magic wand button on the iPhone, but that is the most you're going to do. It's not really a process you think about afterward. With Aperture and Lightroom, the mindset is half the work is done after you press the shutter button. The other half of the work is done when you get back to your computer. So it doubles your workload, and maybe more so with the amount of time you spend on these photos, but the result that you get is a much better photo.
And also that most of them have tie-ins to services to let you order prints and stuff like that.
Can you make books?
You can make books.
Neat.
Lightroom has a feature with Creative Cloud where I've talked about where it creates a smaller version of your photo, a 2560 pixel wide version called Smart Previews, and they upload that to Adobe, and that will get synced to all. You can get that synced to other Lightroom databases, and so you can edit a photo on your laptop.
Didn't they say now that they're letting you upload originals though?
You can upload only original JPEGs.
Oh, okay.
So
No wrong. Okay.
as we talked about the new mobile apps, Lightroom for iPad has already been out, but Lightroom for iPhone will let you do the same thing, where you can review your pictures, flag them, add stars to them, do minor corrections to them, and apply presets to them, which is fine. And those changes then get sent back to your computer at home, and they will affect your big image, your original image. Now, if you take a photo on your iPhone, though, as many people do, normally it is the most popular camera platform in the world. It gets sent back to PhotoStream, is your normal iCloud syncing. But PhotoStream lets you get access to the full res JPEG, but then you have to then ingest that into Picasa or your other system. With Lightroom for iPhone, it taps in your camera roll, and the full res JPEG gets sent to Lightroom in its own iPhone folder, and then you can do that, becomes part of your workflow, just like putting an SD card into your computer and uploading your raw photos. You should try it. Lightroom is
sounds cool.
It's pretty neat. I mean, it's a lot. It adds a lot of work.
I don't use anything to organize my photos these days, so I might check it out just for that. It is, it's old school Windows folders.
I think, does Lightroom do face detection and stuff like that too?
No face detection.
Oh, see, so Aperture will do face detection. Aperture is basically iPhoto Super Plus. So it'll do all the face detection stuff that iPhoto does kind of poorly. It's not very robust.
Hardware, Adobe Ink and Slide.
Yeah, we tested these.
We don't have them with us because we sent them back to Adobe. These are two pieces of hardware.
A stylus and a straight edge, basically.
A stylus made by Adobe, and a straight edge that taps into, as a capacitive, two capacitive points that tap into features in the Adobe Line app.
Three, kind of, because you tap a button and that activates a third.
They're $200, only sold in the U.S. It is a great experiment in getting people to use their free mobile apps in an interesting way.
Yeah, so they tie into the two new mobile apps that you mentioned, Line and Sketch. The interesting thing, there's a couple interesting things about it. First, having a straight edge, and then there are drawing apps that allow you to do straight line drawing with fingers and stuff like that. This having the actual physical thing is a great idea. In my experience, it was a little bit hinky on the size screen that you have with an iPad. Like there's not enough space for the hand holding the straight edge, the line, and all the other stuff that you want to have happening at a given time. Okay, you need a bigger tablet, I thought, for the straight edge.
Yeah, the iPad.
But it's a great idea.
The iPad Air is and the apps don't provide an infinite canvas, which I think is a problem. In that when you zoom all the way out, there's a limited border.
Yep.
And the physical size of that ruler, that straight edge, is too big for the size of the iPad Air.
It means that you use basically half of the screen to manipulate the straight edge. Because the thing, it's not like a normal straight edge where you have to have it lined up with where you want to put the actual line. It's more that it just has to be oriented in the right way, and in order to get both contact points, it takes up, like I said, a third to a half of the screen.
How did the stylus in general feel, though? Because my experience has only been with the pencil.
Okay.
You know that
the 53
the paper guys. Yeah. And I felt like you had to press a little harder than I wanted to make like the eraser work. How did this feel?
So this is a harder tip stylus than the pencil and the Cosmonaut and some of those others.
Yeah.
It feels I thought it was a little slidey. Like it's less slidey than say the Adobe Jot, which is one of the other higher end styluses that we've tested. I mean, what did you think, Norm?
Pencil and Cosmonaut both use different technologies than the Adobe Jot and the Adobe Ink. The Adobe Ink, because and Pencil is Bluetooth connected, but it's still a capacitive stylus. There's that metal tip inside.
Yeah.
And the metal tip, all it does is let the app know when you've made contact. But it's still the capacitive, location. And that if you open the tip up, has that like spring in there, which isn't rigid. Clearly, Pencil did announce that with iOS 8 they will have pressure sensitivity kind of hacked into it. depending on the angle.
It was
at
the
which
angle.
the angle in which you bend that spring
Well,
will give you a thicker line stroke.
It also the other people are announcing pressure sensitivity for styluses using iOS 8 will pass the size of the touch impact to the develop to apps now.
Oh, that's huge. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like game developers I know are super interested about that.
Huh.
You can see a full finger press versus a fingertip graze. And even dumb styluses like the Cosmonaut and things that don't have any electronics in them should give you more information, assuming the apps are updated to use the new APIs. Whether it seems like the pencil thing probably is using a little bit of that too, because they have the kind of soft, mushy tip, and you can assume that if there's more tip hitting, you're pressing harder.
But the ink in the Jot is a hard tip, and it's a firm 2mm hard tip.
And the iPad can detect that?
It can not. No, it can't really. It's not a capacitive.
It has to have power.
It's completely through the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
It powers on, and it recognizes the capacitance of the iPad screen, so it knows that it's going to calibrate itself for the iPad's capacitive sensors, and then when it feels the pressure on the pencil side being depressed on the capacitance, then it sends a message to it's sent to the iPad and sends the electrical signal back. So it's sending the electrical signal, turning on the power for the capacitance when it feels that contact.
But when the power is on for any of those styluses, it'll work on anything on any capacitive touchscreen. It's not like the pen knows where it is on the screen. It is firing a signal that makes the hard tip work with the capacitive screen. But that works on any capacitive screen. You don't have to be paired with the iPad, or it works on a Surface or whatever.
Yeah.
And it requires power.
But you don't have pressure sensitivity outside of apps that support it. But it's okay.
Okay.
$200 is a lot. I don't, and the fact that these apps can only export PNGs, like screenshots, basically, back to the Adobe Cloud stuff, not SVGs. Even if you're designing with these lines and SVGs, vectors, makes it much less useful.
So the use case for this is that it basically makes your pen a token for your Adobe Cloud account, and I can see. Like if you're a designer, you're working you have a big desktop workstation or something like that, and you need a way to carry your shit around with you that doesn't involve bringing people to your desk or bringing a thumb drive or sharing it to a server or something like that, then I can see the value of this. If you're walking around with a tablet, showing people what you're working on all the time, I totally see the value, but it's not particularly well integrated with the existing Creative Suite apps, and it's kind of meh. The apps that they have. The Line app is super neat, but the tablet's too small to really, I at least for me, to really use it. You ended up zooming in and out so much that it was easier to just draw something on paper. And then the Sketch app is kind of nothing special in the sketching world.
All right. So on the other side, Surface 3 Pro comes out tomorrow, June 20th.
That's interesting.
And it is, from reports, a much better stylus to touchscreen or to capacitive screen experience, to digitized screen experience.
That's not universal.
I'm saying from the early reports.
Oh, right. Things have improved some, maybe. Are you talking about the Gabe thing?
Yes.
So, okay, well, tell the story.
Did you want to tell the story?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I think you took something different away from it than I did, though.
Penny Arcade's Gabe, the artist for Penny Arcade.
Mike Krez
I can't pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
Has been an early tester of the Surface Pro 3, and his initial problems with it were a couple-fold. He didn't like some things in the design of the Surface, the Windows button being activated, for example, when he was drawing with his right hand. He thought the latency response was too much for his speed of drawing. And then Microsoft came back and invited him back to Microsoft to show them his problems with it, and then came back to him several weeks later and then showed them their improvements, and they have fixed the Windows button thing. It's now like a smart toggle where when you're drawing, when you put the pen tip on the Surface, the Windows button is disabled.
They said that was not necessarily going to make it, though.
They have made that fix for him, and it's something that they can implement. We don't know if it's going to be implemented.
Right. So,
Okay. And they're still addressing the latency problem that he has. So it's something right now that he doesn't know if he can't use it compared to his Wacom.
or his Pro 2, which is the larger issue, I think.
As a drawing tool. But I think it's still very promising.
I mean, so they brought custom baked software fixes, and then we're like, well, we might get this in, or maybe not. And he said the pressure sensitivity is still kind of janky, and the latency is still bad on the 3, even the high end one, which seems not awesome to me. I don't know. We'll see. We ordered one, right?
Nope.
Did you order one? Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have not ordered one either, Will.
I didn't even have to ask, Jeremy. YouTube and music. YouTube's launching a music subscription service.
Are you serious?
Yes. They are going to have a paid service that you can watch music videos and listen to music on YouTube without ads. Now, that's okay, right?
Who cares? Who cares about the ads? It's free. Everyone's accepted this.
What if you want to listen to music in your car from YouTube?
Wait a minute.
Because basically all the music in the world is on YouTube.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you meant that I'd be watching their videos.
Yes, you're going to be. Well, but the videos also have music with them. You just not leave the screen off.
Okay, all right.
So YouTube's going to have a music labels. This story came out, and the way the headlines were written, I thought, wow, YouTube is basically kicking off thousands of artists from YouTube. So you can't post music videos there unless you sign this new deal.
Oh.
What they're actually doing is not allowing artists who don't sign the new deal, who refuse to sign the deal, to participate in the music service, the streaming service. They'll still be on YouTube. So if you are an independent artist, the way this broke down is Google made deals with the major music labels and some of the big indie folks, and then anybody who's outside that was going to be excluded from the music streaming service.
Okay.
This seems like it probably won't affect normal YouTube, though. Like if you are, for example, Jack White is one of the artists that is listed on the to be affected. His music stuff will still be on YouTube proper, but if you subscribe to the YouTube music streaming service, you won't be able to see Jack White videos there.
Why not?
Because they don't want to have a hybrid part sponsored, part paid service.
I see.
So either once you get into their paid service ecosystem, you don't see any ads, but you also won't see music from artists that haven't signed up for their service yet. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, Jack White's still going to be on YouTube. That's the takeaway. The Nest Protect.
Does Google not have a streaming service?
They have Play Music.
Yeah, is that?
But there's no videos. It's a different set of deals for music videos, I'm sure.
So we are talking about videos.
We're talking about music. People still watch music videos, Jeremy.
And the only benefit to this is no ads?
No ads.
It's insane. Who's going to sign up for? Who's going to pay for that?
I don't know who watches music videos anymore.
I think a lot of people put on the YouTube music videos as a way to listen to the music.
I think that's fair.
And they don't mind waiting for the ad to end, right? Everyone's cool with that.
But I mean, if you think about that as an experience, YouTube, if you watch YouTube right now, you're going to get an ad at the beginning and probably end of every single video you watch.
Yep.
Which is way worse than MTV ever was.
Well, it doesn't interrupt the video. Well, I guess sometimes it does.
Sometimes it probably does. Yeah.
So wait a minute. So I can get rid of ads throughout all of YouTube?
Nope. Just music videos.
Just music videos?
Just music videos that have agreed to be part of the service.
This is stupid.
I just thought it was weird that YouTube was making a paid music video subscription service.
Yeah, it's odd.
I don't know who that's for.
I mean, even
if you watch music videos, send us a letter to podcast@tested.com.
Hey, it's been the chief complaint about MTV, or at least the joke, for 20 years now.
What was the last music video you watched?
It would be no. It's The Hangover.
Huh?
Hangover.
The new Psy video.
Yeah, man.
Oh, you have
with
kids.
Snoop Dogg.
What?
You have kids.
What does that have to do?
Are they into the Psy?
I'm not going to show them this video.
Oh, I don't know.
Kids
aren't into Snoop?
This is about Snoop Dogg and Psy having a hangover from too much booze and weed. I'm not. My kids aren't into that yet.
Your kids are
as far as I know.
8, right? That's old enough. He knows what's up. Okay, so The Nest Protect is back in stores. It costs $99 now, and you can't wave it off. So you can't go, no, don't start beeping. Oh. So you have to get the broom out and whack it with the broom, just like every other cheap ass smoke detector.
That's cool. Don't you have one of these?
I have one of those. The wave feature is turned off. It turns out that turning off a smoke detector, something that is potentially a life-saving device with motion, not the best idea. So that's a thing. Twitter supports GIFs. I'll be honest, I just put this in here so I could say GIF.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct pronunciation.
Thank you, Jeremy.
No.
Obama came out on the wrong side of the law.
The graphical interchange format.
Yeah, he said it's GIF. Obama.
Well, he's incorrect.
Right. Continuity is coming to Apple TV as well as iOS and OS X.
Yes, but
maybe
Apple TV 3. Apple TV 2 is not getting an update.
So the Apple TV 2 is the first generation of the small black box?
Yep.
Interesting. So that's the iPhone 4 hardware, not the iPhone.
Correct. The A4.
4S hardware.
Yep.
It's unclear exactly what this will mean. Somebody was nosing around in the betas and realized that if you have the iOS 8 beta and the Apple TV 7 beta, then you get weird options pop up. Or maybe it's the OS 10. What's it called? Weed? OS 10.
Oh, yes.
Yosemite beta.
Humboldt.
It's too much of an in-joke for Apple, Norm. Yeah. So I don't know what this means. I assume this means if you're watching a video, you can just dump it off to the TV if you want, which seems good.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting. That might be an example of using where push is going to be better than to pull the content over to your screen.
We're pushing it from the...
I made that complaint a couple weeks ago.
Where it's easier to...
Sling it from my phone to the screen.
That's true.
As opposed to pulling it to the...
Using menus to get to the TV, yeah. iOS 8 opens up camera settings. I think we talked about this a little bit last week.
We did not. iOS 8 will have ability to adjust your ISO and your shutter speed and your white balance. And open that up to developers so they can also create apps that tap into all of those things. And you can also do gray card white balance, which is really interesting.
So does that mean that like your filter apps and stuff? Well, I mean, obviously filter apps will probably become part of the main camera. Yeah. But does that mean that like your Camera Plus or whatever goes away and just becomes a plug-in for the camera?
No, I think there'll still be separate apps.
Okay.
I don't know why different UIs and different interfaces can't.
It looked like that was a possibility, though.
So we talked about the timers and stuff like that because they've added time lapse and countdown timers to the iOS camera. It's good that they're adding more features. This is nice. It's more like a real camera.
Yep.
Things like the other cameras, like the Nokia Lumia's already, and Windows Phone has already had, and Android phones have had. Finally, I don't know how exposed it's going to be in the camera app. I don't think it's going to expose at all in the camera app. I think it's just going to be things that third-party apps can tap into. Because I think it's in Apple's interest to make the camera app as simple and basic as possible, and let people put in using extensibility to actually open up those features. Still can't shoot in RAW.
So this is an API level thing, not a app level thing.
At least not as far
Seems
as we
like
know.
so far. Okay.
Hey, by the way, I know this is kind of a time warp back to topic one, but we didn't talk about the Fire's optical stabilization. Does that excite you at all, Norm?
For the camera?
Yeah.
OIS is something that LG phones have had for a while. I think it's
cool.
going to become a standard for camera phones. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
How does it work? Is it like a shock absorbers on the camera?
It's physical, optical, actual stabilization.
It's supposed to counteract the natural hand jitter of that humans have.
Yes, it's not just software processing.
Right.
It can combine with software processing. But as we get faster image processors and adding a little bit of hardware like this, it's going to become standard. It's not the first one to have it, and it's something that varies from case to case.
But so it has been proven to work in cell phones.
Yes.
All right. Cool.
To a degree. To a degree.
Okay.
I mean, I assume it's the kind of thing that works better when you have like a big giant lens.
No Parkinson's jokes.
I wasn't going to make a Parkinson's joke.
I'm just saying in general.
Jeez.
Damn, dude.
I think you just made one.
Michael J. Fox has opened the door to Parkinson's awareness. It's not a laughing matter.
I've donated a bunch of money to Parkinson's research through Michael J. Fox Foundation, so it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Especially after the later David Curb Your Enthusiasm episode.
Okay. I'm moving on. Drone news.
Dun dun dun.
We need a theme song for drone news. I think drone news is probably gonna have to be a regular segment because we're getting a lot of drone news submitted.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the skunk riot control copter?
Nope.
It is a octo-quad, octo-rotor, I think.
Good God, this sounds terrifying.
Heavy payload, 4-barrel gun, 4 different payloads. It can shoot pepper spray paintballs at crowds that are, for example, maybe protesting, striking from mines in Johannesburg, or
Occupying.
Occupy Wall Street. It is a device designed to fly over crowds of unruly civilians and pepper spray them. There are 4 different loadouts. I think pepper spray was one. There was a hard pellet one, like a paintball-sized chunk of plastic that will leave a stinger on you, I would assume. All sorts of other stuff. It sounds pretty terrible.
Oh God, I'm having visions of the drone resistance, where people like you and me get to know the Phantom so well that we are called upon by the Occupy Wall Streeters to defend them against the
corporate overlords,
the corporate drones
that buy the $50,000. The thing is, these things cost $50,000, and they'll be really easy to destroy. Like a kite can take down a quadcopter.
yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, you'd have to be pretty good with aiming your kite.
You've flown one of those 2-handle
Stun
stunt kites.
Combat kite?
That's true.
Yeah, a kite costs $3.
Yeah, you got to be in the right wind.
Fiberglass
or the
lace
right
string.
spot. I'm gonna stick with my drone.
Okay. Well, so then your drone with some like squid-like or jellyfish-like appendages dangling down just flies over the other one, tangles up.
Yeah.
You cut your
and
payload,
drops
loose,
it.
fly away.
I love it.
Drone war. It's happening. This thing costs $50,000. 2 people drive it. 1 person flies. 1 person guns. I do not like this. This is not a good direction.
So what is it? Is this manufactured by a U.S. contractor?
I think this is built by somebody in Europe. I can't remember.
Who is it in the hands of right now?
The first one is going to go to Johannesburg, to South Africa.
Oh boy.
They're hoping that good field trials there, I assume against these striking miners, will open up a business world for them.
Wow.
I do not want my local police department to have one of these.
No.
They can't be trusted.
Good God.
Yeah. Also on the drone fear front, the personal drone detection device folks, I think it's called PDI or PDD, made a Kickstarter for a device that triangulates moving radio signals to tell you if a drone is in your area. Did you guys see the video last week of the guy who's flying his drone over the beach and some woman just completely lost her shit on him?
Yeah.
Where was this?
Maybe down south. I can't remember.
It's at the beach, like Will said.
It was at a beach. So she
I was
thought
afraid it was like Ocean Beach.
No. It was. I think it was in Southern California. But anyway, the story there is that this guy, there's a video. I'm going to describe the video. I'm not going to make any judgments. The video starts with a woman on the phone to police yelling at a guy and calling him a kind of a pervert for flying a quad rotor over the beach.
Taking pictures.
She calls the police. The police don't come fast enough, so she just starts kind of wailing on the guy. And he the whole time is saying, look, I wouldn't. She's like, stop touching me, stop touching me. He's like, I wouldn't be touching you if you weren't assaulting me. Police come, get both sides of the story. She gets hauled off because she's clearly, agitated.
The video was shot by his drone.
No, the video was shot by his iPhone.
Oh, was it
He
his
had
phone?
his
I
iPhone.
assumed it was his drone.
No,
Okay,
no.
fine.
He was
That would be
recording.
more interesting if it was shot by his drone.
Well, it wasn't.
I
in
want to see the rocks.
I knew he
past
was
the
holding
camera.
whatever was shooting it.
The drone's just watching. Like, human interaction is strange. So this is a company that has a Kickstarter. The last time I looked, they had, I think, $300 of $10,000 that they needed to succeed. And they are selling a drone detection device.
Wait, they needed $10 to succeed.
No, they need
Kickstarter?
$10,000 to succeed.
They have $300,000.
No, they have $300. $300.
Jeez, that's not. That's. I don't think it's
It's
going to
a
happen.
little before its time.
It's worth watching for the video.
I'm not sure we need this device yet.
Did you see the video?
No.
You should really watch the video.
Okay.
It's pretty amazing. Basically, it's called the Personal Drone Detection System by A Plus Mobile. They have $227 of an $8,500 goal. I don't think they're going to make it. They have 26 days to go. But the video it kind of reminds me of like an 80s educational video, because I like the software package they used to cut it. They used some stock stuff. It's real
Intentionally?
good. I don't think so.
Okay.
It's It's laughable for all the kind of reasons you want it to be laughable. Do you think that could work, though? I mean, a couple antennas tracking 2.4 gigahertz radio signals seems like something that could work.
I don't know, man.
You said some technology words.
Seems like
Yeah.
you know what uses.
You open a port. I've been watching 24. I know how this stuff
You know
works.
how many things use that range? I mean, you're talking about Wi-Fi, phones, microwaves.
How many of them are in the sky? Watching, peeping in your windows. How do you know how close? Why was that drone in St. Louis that crashed to the ground 2 weeks ago so close to those windows? Perverts. That's why.
Yep.
You guys do drone flyers? All perverts. The last one is a good drone story. The Air Dog. The Air Dog is an extreme sporting accessory. You fold it up, put it in your backpack when you go snowboarding or doing something that's super extreme, and you put a tracker on your wrist or on the back of your helmet or on the back of your backpack, and the Air Dog will keep that tracker in sight no matter how extreme your actions.
Air Dog.
Air Dog.
That's pretty cool. I mean,
I think this is a great idea.
it's got a lot of potential to crash into things, but it's still pretty awesome.
I've been skiing before, and there are trees.
Yeah.
Like over the slopes and everything. I
Yep.
don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah. Trees everywhere.
20 minutes battery life, which seems like right if you're going to go bust some dope tricks off of a half pipe or something. 20 minutes seems like more than you're probably going to go. But it's like this is what I wanted out of a drone from the beginning. I want something that follows me and shows me what's going on around me. I want the eye in the sky, the tactical cam.
Yeah.
I want to know when I'm about to be assaulted by some crazy person who doesn't like drones because I have a drone.
Have you seen
pretty cool.
the hoverboard? It's not drone related.
Oh,
We watched this-
the water thing.
The water thing.
Dude, that looks so
Holy-
amazing.
Hold on, what's the hoverboard?
And you can use it
Yes.
like right now.
Yes, it's a real technology.
Are you talking about the thing that you hook up to the back of a jet ski?
Yeah.
Yes.
The jetpack. The Aqua jetpack.
There's
well, one
two.
company who makes all of them. Flyboard, I believe, is a company. It's the kind of thing that you see at outside beaches, at like carnivals, or at AT&T Ballpark in San Francisco in McCovey Cove. I actually saw it. They were flying it 2 weeks ago.
Is this the Zapata racing
You
thing?
saw it in real life?
No, I saw on they had it on local
okay.
news. Yes, it is. That's the company who makes it. So they had the jetpack, which is the
You hook it up to the outflow of a jet ski,
Yes.
and it makes the water all come out of two jets that you can control by leaning and
and a dude
pulling
actually
some
wears
triggers and
it
stuff.
on his shoulders like a jetpack.
yeah, it looks
Um,
terrifying and awesome.
And it is tethered with a long hose to a jet ski, which doesn't propel. It just kind of stays there.
Yeah.
Well, it can propel still.
yeah, it has a baffle that lets some water go out the back of the jet ski so they can kind of follow you along.
So that was the product one. Product two was a hoverboard, which took the idea of the jetpack with the two water pipes going down and put it on a board.
Word.
And they have their videos on YouTube of the people who practice with this, like a dozen of them at the same time, just floating on their flying skateboards above
Yep.
the water, performing stunts.
Yep.
And they can do flips. They can go in the water and fly out of
Yeah.
the water.
Yeah.
And they can like stay underwater for a while.
And then just shoot up.
007
Like a dolphin.
style. It's like just flying through the water and then come up
Is
out
that
of the water.
Is that the hoverboard or the flyboard? The flyboard is
flyboard.
just boots, right?
The flyboard is a board with that you strap onto to two.
It's like
the
a
vertical
boots
lift.
with hose. Instead of having the jetpack, the jets come out of your feet, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The new one is the hoverboard, where it's one hose, but it shoots instead of vertically, it shoots behind you, so you get more propelling motion, and it still lifts you up in the air because it's angled down.
Oh, it looks so fun.
It looks incredible and scary,
So
and it works on water.
Yeah.
McFly. Hoverboards
nice.
don't work on water
That's hilarious.
unless you got power.
So I have some experience with dumb water-related things. There was this thing when I was a kid called the air chair. And what the air chair was essentially like a wakeboard with a little stool on it that came up. And then 4 to 8 feet down, there was a hydrofoil that went, there was a steel rod that went from where you were sitting straight down to like a hydrofoil that was probably, like 2 feet across and 1 feet deep. And then it had fins on the back for stabilization. And that thing was super neat because once you got up to speed, once you strapped into the seat and had put your feet in foot loops on the board, but once you strapped into the seat, you could ride the foil up and down by leaning forward and back. So you could ride, depending on how long the pole you put on was, anywhere from say 4 feet out of the water to 8 or 9 feet out of the water. I can't remember how tall the tall one was. I ate shit harder on that thing than any other like tubing, wakeboarding, doing flips and 180s and 360s and all that stuff. That air chair, if the front edge of the fin caught the water the wrong way so that it didn't ride back down and instead you just pancaked, it was worse than I'm trying to think, like, it was worse than learning to barefoot water ski. It was worse than like spinning out, slaloming, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You could come down from 9 feet to do that 90 degrees of angular momentum in like a split second, and it would knock the wind out of you. And then you're strapped to this 60-pound chair thing.
But you're still strapped to it, being pulled?
Yeah, you're holding onto a rope.
Even after the wipeout. There's no way out.
Well, it's a Velcro. It's like
Okay,
it's quick release. If you were unconscious, you might have problems. But I think it floated, like the flotation on it was balanced so that you were like you'd float back naturally.
Was it worth it to get back up though? Did you try it again?
Usually, one good wipeout was the end of the day for that one. Like one time, I hit so hard that I broke blood like capillaries in my face, and it looked like I had a whole full face bruise. It was the kind of thing like I'm sure some dudes in their garage made and sold like 500 of.
Yeah.
It was incredibly dangerous, and this looks more dangerous than that. Like this looks super scary. Like the jetpack, that seems controllable. The boot thing, probably with some practice, you can get pretty safe with that. This hoverboard thing looks terrifying.
Oh, it does. It looks like what amazes me is that these guys are so good at it already.
Well, they're professionals.
No,
If you spend,
But they've practiced a lot.
And I'm sure they were really good surfboarders or skateboarders.
I don't know. This seems like it requires a new set of skills.
I don't think we've communicated. I mean, you got to watch the video. They're not that long. They're well edited and well shot with GoPros and HD 4K cameras. But the elevation that you get is what shocked me.
Yeah.
You get they're talking about at least 20 feet up in the air.
You know, you can rent them in Sacramento
does this thing
by the hour.
the hoverboards?
Yeah, and they'll take you out.
We can go out.
I
We can
think-
go do that.
Please do that.
You want to come?
Yes,
Do you want to ride?
maybe.
I'd be interested to see how wait. It looks like they're not even strapped into this thing. I guess they are. Does it have a motor on it? Is it still hooked up to a jet ski?
Yeah, it's still jet ski.
There's still
Okay.
the tube. Yeah. If it was not hooked up to a jet ski, that would be even more amazing.
Yeah. If it was not hooked
Then
up
we
to a
got the
jet
real
ski, that would be
hoverboard.
rad. I'm interested in this. I still think the jetpack looks like it's more fun, and the other thing looks
Yeah, it looks
a
less
lot safer.
scary.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you just want to start with the jetpack.
Well, so the other thing about it is, I
Start with
assume
the jetpack.
I assume you're on the jetpack's a safe one. You've made poor choices. The scary thing about it is you're totally at the whim of the person who's on the throttle of the jet ski, because they're controlling how much thrust you have.
You actually have a handle.
Oh, you have a handle
Yes,
too?
You have
Okay.
a trigger.
So they're at the whim of you.
I'm their whim. This is super interesting. I love the videos of the flyboard and the jetpack.
They do a good job showing people watching it, which
Yeah.
makes you more
It's all,
interested.
girls really like that. I could tell from the video.
Yeah, so if you got one,
Yeah.
you'd get that kind of attention.
I'm married. It doesn't matter. It's wasted effort. Norm, you need to get a jet ski and a jetpack
And fly real high.
and fly. Learn to fly.
Billy Crystal's new book, he says now that he's 65, he doesn't look at 25-year-olds anymore. Well, he does, but by the time he gets his glasses on, they're gone.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the "What Did Billy Crystal Say" segment of "This Is Only a Test."
It's the kind of thing that would be best if I lived in San Diego.
Yeah, if you have access to a bay, like a real bay, not San Francisco Bay, which is a scary body of water.
Consistently 80-degree weather.
Yeah. I'm going to play some music, and then we'll talk about what we've been testing. Hey, Norm.
Well,
What have you been testing?
I got a real big camera, or a real big phone.
That is it has a camera on it, so
That
it's
definitely
both
does have-
things are
yep.
true.
This is the OnePlus One.
So that's the 2 then.
OnePlus is the name of the company, and this is the first phone they have. Is called the One.
So I've never heard of OnePlus before. Can you explain what they are?
OnePlus, actually, is a Asian company. They make phones, but it's actually they have made phones under another name. It's hold on. I forget the name of the Is it? Hold on.
It
Oppo? OPPO? I
Okay.
think OPPO is the other company, and This was it was a subsidiary, but now it's its own separate company. Whatever. The point is that they announced this phone as they call it the flagship killer because it has the specs and features of a otherwise super high end, $600, $700 off contract smartphone, but they're only selling it for $300 for 32 gigs, $350 for 64 gigs, which is basically at cost. And it is a large 5.5 inch 1080p phone.
I see.
And it runs CyanogenMod 11. Which
So it's a Cyanogen native phone.
Cyanogen native phone. It
That's
even
really
says
interesting.
Cyanogen in the back.
What's Cyanogen?
Cyanogen is the very popular fork of Android, and it's what most people, if you're rooting your phone and putting the custom version of Android on there to get rid of all the junk, and it does some things that Android that I think are maybe a little more customizable than stock Android. Theme-wise, you can switch out icons, download theme packs, icon packs, font packs. The quick access notification menus are a little better.
It feels really fast.
So what's their revenue model?
Good question.
I'm sure they're making money on the phone. They're just not.
They're making very, very little money on the phone.
Well, but the thing is, like, what are they? So they sell this for $350.
$300.
How much of the price of your Samsung Galaxy S5 pays for TV commercials? How much of the price of your iPhone pays for TV commercials? Like, that stuff all gets factored into their costs, and it's just like, it's like any generic item. They're not paying for OS development. They're not paying for a custom version of the OS. They have a handful of engineers to port Cyanogen into their hardware, and then they release the phone. Like, it's essentially a white box PC, but of a phone. I think it's super interesting. Like, that is in a lot of ways more compelling even than a Nexus device, because it's kind of the like,
they said very specifically they don't pay for marketing.
Yeah.
They don't pay for retail, and they don't plan on making any money for 2 years.
Well, but that's not making any money and not making any money on each device sold are two different things. Breaking even as a company and breaking even on a device are yeah.
You might not need operating profits, but
Yeah.
operating costs include salaries and
Right.
all the price of
The
manufacturing.
materials and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think
Things
that's-
that they want to be they might want to use in the future to be profitable: accessories, scaling up because they're making very few of these initially. It's invite only right now.
Ooh, how'd you get an
and then
invite?
Maybe services. On the way.
He works at a site called Tested.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. What carriers?
It is a micro SIM, so it's all U.S. T-Mobile, AT&T,
GSM only. Then.
GSM only.
Okay. Interesting.
It's a great price.
Yeah, $300 for a 32 gig.
I'd still like to see an
phone.
iFixit teardown where they actually cost it out. I'd be curious how much profit's
Or-
even in it.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I mean, they list out all the components that they use. They use Snapdragon 801. It's a Sony camera. I don't know who the manufacturer of the LCD is, but it's a 5.5
How's
inch.
the camera?
Camera's okay. Speaker quality is kind of crap, but it feels the fit and finish is fantastic.
It looks really nice. Yeah.
And you
And-
cannot get it on contract?
You cannot get it on contract.
I love that kind of back
They have
surface. It's
zero-
really neat.
Feel the back surface. They have 0 partnerships with carriers. The back surface is this fake, like
It
kind of like a.
knurled plastic is what I would say.
It's definitely plastic.
It's like the back of a Nexus, but rougher.
It feels almost flocked
Can I
a
feel
little
again?
bit.
Yeah, it feels almost like cloth.
But it does stain.
Oh, it does.
A little easy.
It has all the standard Android buttons, I assume.
It actually has physical dedicated buttons. Not on, you can disable. You can turn on-screen buttons on or off in Cyanogen, but this one actually has a home button, the hamburger, kind of a unevenly
The one that
stacked
Apple hates.
hamburger.
I heard Apple hates
and
the
a back
hamburger.
button. It's a little weird because the back button's actually on the right side, not on the left side. I'm not sure why that's the case. On the OS, the back button has always been on the left side.
Are they primarily selling this in the U.S. or is this a
US?
world phone?
It is it's a world phone, but it is available. It will be
Available
available for
here.
sale in the U.S.
I'm going camping in a month.
Oh, so am I. Very cool.
But before I go, I haven't been camping since we had I haven't been camping with the baby since we had a baby.
Yeah.
So this weekend, we're going to do the thing that I thought I would never do again and go backyard camping
Okay.
as a trial run before we go out to real camp. So I bought a new tent the other day. I'm excited about it. I haven't gotten it yet.
How many people is the tent rated for?
I got a car camper. So I have a backpacking tent that's pretty good. That's like a little 2-man kind of 3-pound thing. But I bought a REI Habitat, which it looks it's like straight up vertical sides almost. It's not a dome.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a modified dome. You have to stake it in order to it needs support. But I think it's for 4 or 6 people. It's big. It's like a 10-pound
Like a
tent.
party tent.
Yeah. But I figured we have the dog, we have the baby, put a queen size air mattress in there.
You're gonna take your dog?
Yeah.
That's great.
Well,
man.
I'm going in the backyard.
Oh no, but I mean when you actually go camping.
I mean, we'll see how she does in the backyard. She's
Yeah.
never been camping with me before.
That'll
so.
be cool.
It's like the next. You can bring a Nexus 7. It'll be like that commercial.
Yeah.
What?
Reading
Nexus
stories
7 commercial
to
where you
your
have,
family.
have a camping trip in the backyard.
That was a
Oh.
very effective commercial.
Was it made me? Yeah, that was a good commercial.
That was a spoiler, in fact.
It needed
to
to
the
be.
commercial.
It needed to be near the house because it doesn't have. It's Wi-Fi only.
I'm bringing
at that
my
point.
Kindle. Like my rule on camping trips is you take a Kindle and you can use as much as one charge lasts, and then after that,
Oh.
no electronics.
Well, that's quite a long time.
Yeah, I know. It's no problem. It's never been a problem so far. Norm, you tested out a big ass camera too. In addition to your big ass phone.
Wasn't that big. It was Sony's NEX, or not NEX anymore, A6000, which is their compact mirrorless camera. I don't have it again because I've sent it back. And
Is this the full frame one, or is this the
just an APS-C
APS-C one? Okay.
it's like they got rid of the NEX line, no more Sony Nex cameras, and there's just the A5000, A3000, A5000, A6000.
Got it.
And this is a $650 camera, which I would not recommend. It's too much for people getting started and too little for people who are in the market for $1,000 cameras.
The NEX, like that idea, for a while, the NEX, when they were introducing that and kind of rolling it out, those cameras were an incredible value. Like that first one that you bought was what, $500?
And you can get, they're even more value now because you can get last year's version because they've had so much success selling them that you can buy. They've been churning them out once a year. You can buy last year's for
New?
$500 new for
Yeah.
$500 that was previously $800.
And it's-
the $500 one is now $300.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's like those products, when you have a product category or a product in a specific category that's like that, that's kind of like the thing that's much better than it should be for the price you pay. It's a wonderful that is finding that is a thing that makes me feel good, just fundamentally. Anyway, Jeremy, anything you've been testing? Are you still assembling game frames furiously?
I am, but at night for the past week, I've been putting together a MAME cabinet.
Ooh.
Oh, you're putting it in a main cabinet? A
Yeah.
full-size one?
No, a miniature one.
You're doing like a tabletop thing?
Yes. If you Google PortaPie Arcade, there was a Kickstarter earlier this year that I actually missed, but I wrote the guy PortaPie.
Like it's
it
Raspberry
actually is
Pi.
Raspberry Pi
Yeah.
based.
Oh, PORTI and then space.
PORTA space
PORTA.
Pi.
Okay, Porta Pi.
See, it looks like that little guy.
Okay.
Oh, so it's all laser cut. It looks like an iCade almost.
Yeah, 7-inch screen. So I had the guy custom add a spinner. I researched this good spinner you can buy that's USB based in England and had it shipped over here.
Spinners are really big.
Magstick?
The mounting.
It
that's
actually
underneath.
it's made for homebrew arcades. It wasn't that big. It was about
Oh, I'm sorry.
smaller
You're thinking
than
about
a-
trackballs.
I'm thinking trackball.
Yes,
yeah,
no,
okay.
spinner like a
Okay.
Tempest.
Got it.
Yeah.
Because my big thing with MAME cabinets is you should be able to do more than joystick games because I can sort of do joystick games on the computer.
Yeah.
Digital controls. So the analog stuff is to play games that I can't play otherwise. And I am so digging this thing. I took out the Raspberry Pi and I connected it to a Nook, an Intel Nook, because I actually watched a review of
Nuke.
it. Sorry, Nuke, and which is a tiny little Apple TV sized computer.
Yeah.
It's way more powerful than I anticipated.
The Nuke.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you can play everything up to like Team Fortress on it. It's pretty good.
In terms of emulation, I mean, I'm playing PlayStation 1 games. I'm playing like arcade games I never expected to be able to play, like Virtua Racer at full frame rate, and it's awesome.
You can play Street Fighter 4 on the one that I have.
Oh yeah, I bet you can.
Right. Like
Totally.
it'll play modern in 3D. I didn't try the new Mortal Kombat, but I would assume that even that
You
stuff
mean
would
the
probably-
native code?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you can run on Windows
Yeah.
native Street Fighter 4 and it runs I I think that one was okay. I have to go back and check, but it seemed like it was okay.
So I'm spending way more time on this thing than I expected because I even thought like it'd be fun to make, but I'll probably only play with it once a month. At least for right now, I'm playing it every day. Like it's my little like timeout the machine. I go over to my little tiny 7-inch arcade box.
What kind of monitor do you use for that?
It's an LCD screen.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Like an off the shelf.
Yeah.
Like a kit LCD.
Off eBay.
Okay.
It comes with like the guy he sourced it and he based it around it. It's a low res. It's 800 by 480.
That's all you need for that stuff.
But you can get a 720p.
How does the vector stuff look?
With the 720p, it would look better. That's why I'm thinking about upgrading.
Okay.
Because especially with the vertical stuff,
yeah,
like Tempest, which is meant to have the monitor rotated 90 degrees, you can really see the aliasing.
Does MAME do anti-aliasing on that stuff now or no?
Probably does. I haven't looked. I actually have the filtering turned off because I like the pixels.
Okay.
But that's a good idea. I'll take a look at that for the vector games.
Vector stuff, yeah.
But I'm telling you, the spinner is awesome because not only can you play like Tempest and Arkanoid, you can play driving games. You turn it into a steering wheel.
Is that a good experience though?
It's better than a joystick.
Fair enough.
Because like I'm really into it. Like I'm playing Pole Position and Virtua Racing and like Chase HQ or whatever that game.
Top 5 arcade games, Jeremy?
Top 5 arcade games? I don't know, man. Joust is at the top. Like that's why I wanted this, so I could play Joust. Defender's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And then Virtua Racing I was always very fond of. I don't
Not
know.
a lot of Namco on there so far. No Donkey Kong.
Oh, Donkey Kong's got to be on there. Yep. I like Burger Time. I don't know. I mean, my favorites list is too long. I can't do top
Are they
5.
making a Wreck-It Ralph 2?
Yeah.
That movie made a ton of money, didn't it?
That I don't think it made it didn't do Frozen money. That movie paved the way for Frozen.
Nothing did Frozen
2.
money but Frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frozen top grossing animated
Titanic
film
didn't
of
make Frozen
all
money.
Time. Top grossing animated film above Lion King, above all the Pixar movies. I thought it was okay.
Oh, what?
I haven't
Wreck-It
seen
Ralph?
No, Frozen. I love Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Frozen was okay.
I've seen Frozen too many times because I have little kids. But I thought the music was actually really good. I don't know.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph is like
Fantastic.
my favorite cartoon movie. It has surpassed the Toy Stories. I just love Wreck-It Ralph. I mean, I could tell you, we listen to that soundtrack nonstop in my house.
I only watched it the once, and I wasn't super stoked about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
But
thought it was okay.
It's like a movie that you would think they'd never make because it's so tailored to old
That's
people.
true. It did seem like a Pixar movie for olds.
Except Disney made it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good for them.
The way they did the pixelization in 3D space, I thought was really clever. Oh, so many little details.
Hey guys, Disney is inspiring baby names. Frozen. I'm really glad we didn't name our daughter Elsa because that was on the list.
Oh boy.
Oh, is that what do you mean? Like new babies are being named
the
Elsa?
Dramatic uptick in new babies named Elsa.
That's
Oh, boy.
funny.
Yeah. Did you guys?
I have one of those babies. Not an Elsa baby. I have a Madison baby. And Madison as a girl's name did not appear, was off the list. It did not appear until 1980 whatever when Splash came out.
Oh my God.
And the
Splash.
mermaid looks at the Madison Avenue sign and says that her name is Madison.
Wow.
How did
who
the mermaid?
doesn't
How could
wanna
the mermaid
be-
read?
It's the common tongue.
You know,
Mermaids don't speak
Mermaid.
English.
Daryl Hannah.
she spoke English.
I guess so. I guess if you can speak English, you can read English, right? Maybe mermaids are language virtuosos.
had not thought about that movie
Yeah, man.
until you'd mentioned it.
That was Tom Hanks's first movie, right?
I don't know. Big hit. But probably
Yeah.
at least his first big hit.
Did you guys see the TF2 stuff?
I saw there was TF2 stuff.
There's a short. It's like a 15-minute short film.
Yep.
It's good. It's worth watching. It's
Okay.
pretty dumb. It's
Okay.
all made in Steam, Source Filmmaker. Also, breaking news: the Steam sale just started. The summer Steam sale.
Mm-hmm.
So it's time to buy a bunch of games that you're probably not going to play.
The TF2 video was called Expiration Date, and before I'd watched the video, I assumed that they were shutting down TF2. That was it. They were ending it after
I kind of thought the same thing.
after however many years, 6 years, 7 years.
I figured it was when it was time for
6 years.
TF3, but we all know Valve doesn't make games that are threes.
That's right.
They're not going to shut down TF2. TF2 still the hat money. Hat money's still rolling in.
I don't know how many hats
Why-
people can buy.
Why would they shut it down?
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't, unless there was a sequel.
Unless they're going to make TF3.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's it for what we're testing. Let's take it. We got a couple good emails this week, and then we'll call it a show.
Emails?
Well, but we do the other one.
Emails.
We don't do emails. We do
Emails.
No.
Questions.
Boom. If you have a question for This Is Only a Test, you can send it to podcast@tested.com or just come on the show and ask during the show. That's fine too, Jeremy. Keep your questions short if they're audio questions. We have an audio question this week, Norm, so put on your headphones. The question is coming in hot and fresh.
Hi, Norm, Will, and or mystery guest. My name is John. I'm from Gouda in the Netherlands, and yeah, that's the place where the cheese comes from. I've been following Tested ever since you guys started making videos with Adam. I have a couple of questions. Let's see if I can get them in under a minute. Next week, I'll be at Google I/O. What are your thoughts and expectations for this conference, and will you guys be covering it, and or the gadgets that are going to come out of it? You guys seem obsessed with any form of coffee. Have you guys ever gone without? I recently quit drinking any form of caffeine, and I've noticed some health benefits. Now, last but not least, I have a really question. I'm currently in the process of losing some weight, and I'm taking long walks. While walking, I usually put on podcasts, and just wanted to say thanks for making a funny and enjoyable podcast to keep me entertained while walking. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, you're welcome.
We won't be at I/O.
We're not going to be at I/O.
Following it.
Yes. I know that we're going to see some car stuff that's already leaked. I assume equivalent to Apple's, what did they call it, CarPlay. They kind of teased it around the time Apple announced CarPlay, and it's probably a remote desktop-like solution for dashboards. So you don't have to upgrade your dashboard every 2 years, which no one is going to do. I think there'll be other stuff. I don't know. I assume new Nexus phones, right? They usually do that at I/O.
Either Nexus phone or tablet.
Yeah, one or the other. I wonder if we'll see. I wonder if glass is going to be mentioned at all, or if they're just walking away from that.
Oh no, the glass is 100%. Did you guys see the Daily Show bit on glass?
Nope.
It was fantastic.
I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
Jason Jones interviewed the dude who got the girl who got assaulted.
You mean
in San Francisco for wearing glass? It was a hate crime. She called it a hate crime. She is wearing Google Glass in a bar, and people
was she
berated
physically
her,
assaulted?
and they tore it off her face
and stomped.
I don't think they stomped on it, but the video is from the perspective of Google Glass. She was recording video, kind of egging them on.
They asked her not to record video, and then she recorded video anyway, and they tried to kick her out of the bar, and people were drunk. I think that as a person who has worn Google Glass in public, I don't wear Google Glass in public now because of that.
See, now Google needs Mayday for those situations.
Yeah.
Amy, help me.
The drone response team.
Sergey. Yeah. Sergey. Send the cars.
Tap 3 times to say, okay, Google, send Sergey.
Send the cars.
Glass Defense Force.
Where's the steering wheel?
Do you think glass is recoverable at this point? Like,
yes.
The public perception is pretty bad.
I don't think it's really taken off yet. It's going to evolve into something cool that people will want. It's definitely recoverable.
Okay.
It's just not anything. It's nothing yet.
It is nothing yet.
It's
that
barges.
is exactly right.
It's cloaked in barges.
I'd rather have a barge than glass. I could do so much with a barge.
What are you talking about? A big ship?
Google barge.
Yeah, like a big
It's where
ship.
their data centers are.
Yeah.
You know, they're hunting us from there.
Yeah.
That's where the drones are going to come from.
Hey, can I just say this guy, whoever this is, what's his name?
His name is, he didn't say his name. His name's John.
My wife would love to hang out with this guy.
Because he doesn't drink caffeine?
He's adjusting his caffeine intake, which is like my wife's goal in life. And he goes on walks.
Walks are good.
And this is something she does every day. I think she would love to meet this guy.
He's in Holland. He's in the Netherlands.
Ain't gonna happen. And she's taken. So.
Also, she likes Gouda.
Yeah,
who doesn't like Gouda?
I love Gouda.
You know, it's my new go-to cheese for hamburgers. If I get a cheeseburger, I want Gouda because it is great.
I've never tried that.
It's very, very sharp and delicious. It accentuates the hamburger.
All right.
I think the Modern Cuisine guys tested like 60 different kinds of cheese on hamburgers, and Gouda was the winner. Or maybe it was Gruyere.
Are you serious?
No, it was Gruyere that was the winner for that. But anyway, the caffeine thing, I stopped drinking caffeine for like a year and a half when I was at Max PC because for a while I would get up every time Gordon went to get coffee and then get coffee, and Gordon drinks a lot of coffee. I don't do that anymore. I didn't notice any real health benefits. I was tired a lot at first, and then I stopped being tired. But I went kind of cold turkey. Norm, have you ever gotten the caffeine monkey off your back?
Nope. I find that caffeine is great. And a great supplement to caffeine, if you want to stop taking caffeine, is regular exercise.
Supplement.
Regular exercise supplements caffeine exceedingly well.
So my daughter is really into bubbles right now, like super into bubbles, like bash bubbles.
You know, she should watch this Vine. There's a Vine of a dude wearing a suit tiled with Mentos, and he gets dunked into a bath of Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Either a lot of bubbles.
That sounds horrible. That is right up her alley.
That's interesting.
But she likes the bubble wand, you know.
Yep.
But she's learned that when you make coffee with a pour over, there are bubbles at that. So now we have to lift her up every morning when we make coffee so she can see the bubbles there.
Oh no.
Wow.
And I know that this is going to end with a 3-year-old that's like chugging coffee, which is going to put me in the Parent of the Year awards.
Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles. You know that Finding Nemo fish loves bubbles. The thing, the crazy.
Oh, the one in the tank.
Yeah, the one that watches the bubbles come out of the treasure chest.
Nemo, when she was sick, we had the baby crud going around San Francisco. It seems the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
She wasn't into the bubble. She wasn't into Nemo. We tried to get her to watch Nemo when she was sitting on the couch, sad and runny, snotty nose. And she wasn't. She loves those Despicable Me minions, though.
No, yeah,
like that ad comes on
those
TV,
guys.
and it's like,
yeah,
she points.
They make the kids laugh.
The Rabbids and the Despicable Me.
I think
minions,
the minions
they're exactly the same.
But the Despicable Me minions, I think, were Frito-Lay style, designed to appeal to small children.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
This next email comes from Johan. Hey, Will Norman guest. Thank you for the great blah, 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 blah. From mid-November to mid-December this year, my girlfriend and I are flying to the U.S. for a road trip from New York to Miami. Not all hotels and motels along the way seem to have Wi-Fi access. What prepaid LTE or 3G only data plans can you recommend for the East Coast? We both have smartphones, iPhone 5 and 4Ss, but since the frequencies in Germany are different from the ones in the U.S., we don't want to take that chance. In Germany, we get prepaid surf sticks for notebooks for around $40 with a prepaid SIM. The only ones that I can seem to find are either not prepaid or they cost upwards of $100. That seems to be like the USB dongle to give you LTE access is a thing that people don't really sell that much here. You can rent. I know Braga used to rent like a MiFi for $50 or $100 for the entire time he was here, which was like a week. The other thing you could do is just buy a $50 burner phone that's on like Boost Mobile or something like that and use that as your phone. The data thing is always harder, is all I know. I know AT&T will sell you a SIM for your existing phone. I believe T-Mobile will as well. And I think that if you have a 5, you have an iPhone 5 and a 4S, I think the 5 has the right bands. I think the 5, the US and Euro bands are the same, but you'd have to look at that to see. That stuff's all on Wikipedia pages. They have all the bands listed there, so you can tell what AT&T uses and what phone you have uses. So,
I don't know carriers on the East Coast either.
That's the AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile.
I don't know the coverage like in the cities.
So the general consensus is that T-Mobile is bad outside of cities. Sprint is good in the East Coast. Verizon is good in the big, giant, empty parts of the West. And AT&T is good in the East Coast and the cities in the West.
All right. That's good to know.
I think that'll do it for... Well, one more. This is from Nicole. She says, Dear Manager, glad to hear you're on the market for wireless chargers and other promotional items. This is Nicole from Shenzhen Best One Technology Limited in China. We specialize in wireless chargers for over 3 years with the customers of LG, Samsung, etc., and hope to find a way to cooperate with you. Free samples can be sent on request. If you're interested in any products, call me. Let's talk more. Thanks and best regards, Nicole.
So personal.
I know. I thought it was really nice. Dear Manager. Do you guys get those spams? I get a ton of that kind of spam.
I do.
Do you get it on your personal account or just the one that's on the Tested homepage?
Just the work one.
Yeah, I get it everywhere. That'll do it for us this week, I think, guys. If you have a question, podcast@tested.com is the email. We take audio questions, video questions. I don't know if we would do that, but audio questions and written questions are both good. What's going on this weekend for you guys? Anything exciting?
This is sort of the weekend before the storm for me. My kids are still in school.
Really?
Yeah. So they got one more week, and then it's like vacation begins the day after.
Are you doing the camping thing in
July?
Yosemite?
Like in
Family camp again. Yeah. The
Okay.
Yosemite thing.
Did you get grandfathered in, or did you have to reapply again?
You have to reapply every year.
Okay.
And you get the week you get. So we're doing that. We might actually go outdoor, like in a tent camping too.
Ooh.
But the family camp's like a week long.
It's a cabin?
Yeah, yeah, it's a cabin.
Like a rough cabin.
Yep.
Do you have the bathrooms, or is it?
No, it's all communal bathrooms.
I'm
You
gonna try to sneak.
put your
like
towel on.
outhouses, or
It's a big, it's like
does it flush?
looks like a military bathroom.
Okay.
Yeah, there's flushers.
Like in Full Metal Jacket, it's just like a line of toilets on the wall with no barriers.
There's women's and men's sides.
Okay, that's good. Are there barriers for the toilets though?
Not for
Orange, the new
there's
black
one big
style?
communal urinal that looks like a horse
A
trough.
trough, yeah.
But there are barriers between the potties.
It's like prison.
Are there doors on the barriers?
I don't know.
Well,
the,
yeah,
the
there's
showers
only
are private.
There's only one
with a
bathroom
door?
with a door.
There's only one good shower. Like there's one with good pressure.
Are you watching Orange is the New Black? Norm?
Yes, I've seen all of it.
Okay.
I've watched the first one. Is that
You know,
worth
one of
watching?
our
It's
one
good.
of our viewers or listeners is on the show.
Really?
She plays. I don't want to spoil. In Red's Kitchen, she plays
The Italian girl?
the one with the short hair in Red's Kitchen. I forget her name on the show. I apologize.
What's her name as an actress?
Abigail Savage.
You have a good memory. Anyway, that's it. And I'm traveling to Virginia for a bit. So that's it. This weekend is just quiet.
She plays Gina, which I should have known. Oops.
It's a good show.
It is a good show. It's definitely worth watching.
So Camping Yosemite, Jeremy. So you're gonna ship out all the game frames before then.
I'm working my butt off.
You're doing all your shipping at once.
Well, I mean, as soon as the power supplies come in, I'm going to ship all that I can. And I've made over 300 now, and I'm clear coding the higher end ones off the Kickstarter page. Like there were 50 clear coded ones plus the 10 for the people that got their own custom graphic done by eBoy.
Yeah. Did you see the eBoy story on The Verge yesterday?
It was really good.
It was really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, good video. Yeah, I think Kai maybe went to Germany for that.
Wow.
Or at least they synced up with him because he actually lives in Canada. But anyway, it was a great story.
I like seeing those guys get good press. It's really good.
Absolutely. They deserve.
They've been doing good stuff for a long time.
They deserve a longer form documentary, I think.
Yeah.
Here's a documentary about video games. All of video games in one documentary.
Which
It's called Video Games, the movie.
What
is
do
this
you
a real thing?
Yes, Zach Braff is Zach Braff
Oh boy, fact check.
has produced it.
It's in development.
Oh, there's a trailer for it. It's videogamesthemovie.com, executive producer Zach Braff. And there's a trailer, and it's all of video games.
When's it due?
It is due later this month or next.
Is it Kickstarter?
I believe it was a Kickstarter. Jeremy Sneed is the director.
Huh.
Raised $100,000 in Kickstarter.
Huh. That's interesting.
I think that's a little broad.
It
was my worry.
Yeah, then he's like Ken Burns treatment.
Yeah.
Like 15 episodes?
Yeah.
So much Ken Burns effect over screenshots.
Where do you start with video games, the documentary? Do you start with Space War? Do you start with like Pong?
I think Nolan Bushnell. The people that are interviewed include Nolan Bushnell.
He's always available, yes.
Warren Spector.
Okay.
Will Wheaton. Chris
Okay.
Hardwick. Randy Pitchford. David Perry.
Chinese David Perry?
Yes.
What does he do now? Do we know?
I'm not 100% sure. Max Landis. To circle it all back.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they got some interesting people. Maybe, and Palmer Luckey. So it's from the past, Nolan Bushnell to Palmer Luckey.
There's a place for that. It may not be for us, but like my mom would be into that, so she understands what I do for a living. She thinks.
The game.
You work for Nintendo, right?
Yeah, I played Nintendo. That's what I do.
The game movie I always wanted to make has been made. And
Which one?
That's Indie Game the movie.
That movie's great.
Yeah. That did it for me. So everything else is just.
There's an argument that movie and it was
Great.
They shot so much more than they needed for that movie.
Yeah.
And they focused on two stories.
Three.
Well,
Yeah.
stories. Yes.
A little bit of Jonathan Blow.
He was like the overarching set in his Cloud City. And documentaries are very, they're pointed. They tell specific stories that the filmmakers want to tell.
Well,
the story is a style of documentary.
The stories that unveil themselves, hopefully. You don't want the documentarians to go in with an agenda.
Yes,
They
but even
shot-
as they unveil themselves, yeah.
Those Helvetica bastards. Fuck you, Seraphs. The Blu-ray has a bunch of the footage they shot about other games. There's like Derek Yu bits. There's a tons of other. There's discs full of other stuff that they shot because they originally shot thinking they were going to make a broad thing about indie games,
Right.
and then found the Phil Fish story to be super interesting because he's Phil Fish, and the Edmund and Tommy story around the Super Meat Boy launch to be very kind of representative of the whole of a lot of people's experiences, and they happen to be there at the right time for that stuff to be really good.
I mean, one of my favorite story-driven documentaries is Fistful of Quarters.
Yeah, it's fun.
King of Kong.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is super. If you talk to the people who were part of it, it's very controversial.
Billy Mitchell probably not a fan.
I bet, from what I understand, Billy Mitchell's not that bad a guy. Like as he's
exactly,
portrayed.
and they've made him look like the most villainous of villains.
He used to be a pinball wizard, like before video games.
Like in the song?
He used to be amazing at pinball, and then when video games came along, he sort of transferred his skills and his renowned.
And he makes hot sauce.
That's right.
And the hot sauce.
And his ties.
Everybody should watch King of Kong. It's good. It's entertaining. I mean, documentaries, like anything, you just assume you're getting anytime a interesting story comes out of a documentary, I'm always like, okay, that's good. Is it true? Who knows? But it's entertaining.
Yeah.
That'll do it for us. We'll see you guys next Thursday with another episode of This Is Only a Test. Today's outro comes from Steven Westervelt. Again, Steven's the only one submitting these. If you want to submit them, search for raw outro song file. Follow the instructions in the first post. See you guys next week. Hi there. I didn't see you. Tested.
And we could take all this charity money and buy like 4,000 pink berries. I'd fucking eat them all too.
But we didn't buy 4,000 pink berries.
That would be a lot.
I could eat
That'd
a
be
lot of.
pretty good.
I think they'd melt before you ate them all.
How
Do you guys
about-
want to talk about Edge tomorrow?
Oh.
Are we going to spoiler it?
No, it's too early for spoilers, right?
It's the end of the podcast.
I would say, please watch it. The movie did not do well in theaters.
It didn't?
It did so poorly.
You're kidding.
It's surprising,
It
right?
got like a 90% Rotten Tomato.
90% Rotten Tomatoes has the
Tom Cruise.
Emily Blunt, sci-fi, director of Bourne Identity, director of Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Swingers, high budget action movie, but it came out the same weekend as The Fault in Our Stars.
Hold on, what's the Fault in Our
Which
Stars?
I also saw. I was dragged to.
What's the Fault
And
in
it
Our
was-
Stars?
Did you cry?
Did
you cry, Jared?
no. But the author went to my alma mater.
Yeah, Kenyon College.
Yep.
That's right.
Is the Fault in Our Stars like a
It's a cancer
weepy-
kids movie.
Oh God, it's like a Walk to Remember or something like that.
It's a cancer teenagers
know.
fall in love cancer kids
Yeah.
movie.
Oh God, I can't watch that.
You know, some things you do for family.
No, I believe me.
It made no money. It made like
That's
20. It made less than $30 million the
So-
opening weekend.
I mean, Tom Cruise's last couple films haven't been great.
Jack Reacher and Oblivion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Oblivion. I love the visual design of.
I haven't seen Oblivion, but I didn't like Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher was laughable.
It was dark. and
Oblivion. I was really bummed because I missed Oblivion on HBO Go, and now I'm gonna have to pay for it if I want to watch it. I think, or wait until it's on Netflix or
Yeah.
something.
No. This new one is worth seeing. It's really good.
The
It's
editing-
Groundhog Day in a sci-fi context.
Which you would think, oh, source code did that, but this takes it
Oh, I
much
hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
That's true.
a little further.
No, they definitely explain this, why this is happening in a way that I thought was interesting, and there's a twist. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say too much about it, but like at the end, the last act is not like Groundhog Day, and it's a great movie.
And the alien design is fantastic in the movie.
Oh yeah, so good.
And it's like how
So original.
ferocious they are.
Yeah.
It's just like it doesn't feel like something you can track normally. You feel scared for these people because they're so aggressive.
Yeah. It almost looks like there's like an animation glitch or some sort of
Yeah.
like film problem with these aliens at times because they move in a way that's unnatural.
it was a difficult movie to make, originally based off of a manga, I believe.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
And to adapt it to fit Tom Cruise and his personality. He does a lot of running in this movie.
But he goes through a transformation in this movie that you don't always see from him.
And that's
days.
believable.
Yeah.
And editing in this movie is fantastic too, because it doesn't get repetitive. Bill Paxton, I think, is a real star in this
Love
movie.
Bill Paxton.
Is there a groundhog?
There's no groundhog.
Hold on, is Bill Paxton Hudson or Hicks? He's Hudson, right?
Bill Paxton.
Game over,
is,
man.
Yes,
Yeah.
is Hudson,
Yeah.
and he plays like the end. If Hudson had grown up, if Hudson had
Yep.
taken all the lessons he had learned, and the natural conclusion of that character,
Gotten promoted.
and is Bill Paxton.
So hold on,
in
so
this
he's like the
movie.
crotchety Sarge?
he becomes the Sarge.
Oh, that's so good.
It's good.
I like when movies like Edge of Tomorrow don't do well. Like they review well, they're critically reviewed well, and then they don't do well. Does that like hurt our chances of seeing good science fiction in movie theaters
Oh,
going
well,
forward?
This isn't good science fiction. I mean, this is true entertainment. I mean,
It's an action
this
movie,
is a
right?
great action movie. That's like, it's not too dark. You could probably take older kids to it. It's a really fun movie.
But here's the thing: is you and I know that that's not like it's not 2001 or Solaris
Right.
or a hard science fiction movie. But my hunch is that the people that are writing checks in L.A. are like, well, science fiction movies are on the way out. Better move over to action romantic comedies.
Which
Oh,
is so funny because they marketed this movie like Gears of War. The ads all look like Gears of War ads.
Like
I
big
didn't see 'em.
oversized guys doing cover shooting.
Oh, yeah, big oversized dudes, guys holding big guns and swords and posing.
They're exoskeletons, right?
Yep.
There's actually a lot of humor in it, as you would expect from a Groundhog Day kind of
Is there-
mechanic.
I want to. Does Puxatawny Phil make an appearance?
I don't. Oh, what was that?
He's the groundhog.
Oh no.
Oh,
I thought you were going to say Josh
Brolin.
Tobolowsky.
Was
Oh,
was,
the Needlehead Ned. Ned the Head.
was Bill Paxton Chet in that old movie, the where the two nerds make a girl out of their computer?
Weird Science.
Yeah.
I don't think he
Was he the older brother in that?
believe so.
He was in Twister. He
Yes,
beat
he
the
was.
tornado.
Yes.
He was Chet Donnelly in Weird Science.
Oh,
Wow.
score.
Nice job.
Well done.
He was also in The Terminator as a punk leader. And none of these other movies I've ever heard of before. Did you know,
He has his own pinball machine. A one-off. It's a fan made.
like a Paxton?
Yes, a Bill
it's
Paxton,
all of his roles
it's Bill
aggregated.
Paxton themed pinball machine.
He's made a lot of movies.
I'm sorry.
He was in Navy SEALs, Predator 2. These are all fantastic films. Did you know that Dan Aykroyd directed Nothing But Trouble? Did you ever see Nothing But Trouble?
Tell me what the story
Nothing
was.
But Trouble is Chevy Chase, I think. It's Demi Moore, Chevy Chase are like on a road trip with another couple, and they're kind of prototypical 80s Manhattan yuppies, and they get pulled over on the side of the road
Did not see that.
in a weird Pennsylvania town and called up for speeding or taillight out or something, called up before the judge and ended up in this like fun house of nightmares. It's a super weird movie. Totally worth watching.
Really?
It's
Okay.
really bad.
4.7 IMDb
It
score.
is not a good movie. It is a terrible movie worth watching.
Did you know Amazon owns IMDb?
Yeah.
Yes.
I did not
They
know
bought
that.
them in the 90s probably.
I learned that over this Fire
It
announcement.
was not in the 90s.
Early 2000s then. It was a long time
Jesus
ago.
Christ, in the 90s. And Amazon did not buy IMDb in the 90s.
They were selling books in the 90s exclusively.
Jesus.
I think
That's why IMDb integration in the Kindle Fire, for example,
Yeah,
when you're watching
that's
a
how I
movie, it
found
pops
out.
up. Yeah.
oh man, Wikipedia is down. I can't find this.
Oh my
This
god.
information's not out there.
How about
1998, Norm.
No way.
Amazon bought.
How much did Amazon pay to acquire IMDb in 1998?
No.
When did Amazon buy IMDb?
Amazon bought Bookpages, Telebook, and IMDb for $55 million in 1998.
That's fucking insane.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you think about it.
Weren't they selling books exclusively until like 2004?
No, I started buying DVDs in the 90s when I was still in
Jesus
Tennessee.
Christ, I will eat egg for that.
Huh.
And I'd even put a money on that.
Punishment egg.
That is some foresight.
Well, remember, everything got weird in the lead up to the first .com crash because shit was crazy overvalued. But that happened probably before IMDb. Like, IMDb would have been much more expensive 2 years later. And then valueless in 2002. Probably went under. Probably would have gone under. Yeah. At least this is a Quora answer. I can't get to Wikipedia, but like there are multiple things that say 2008.
1998.
1998. Yeah, sorry.
Everyone is old.
Yeah. The other day I was thinking about 2007 as if it was like a couple of years ago. Almost a decade.
Yep. I'm with you there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's call it and go grab lunch. See you guys next week.
Bye.